Open this meeting at 7:35. Hello from Conservation Commission.
Yeah. What did you just do over there?
Start with administrative discussion.
Okay, so guys, if we can have it quiet, we started the meeting. Okay,
You want to go with the Cooper Farm?
let's do the minutes first.
Anybody get any omissions or corrections to the minutes?
So I have just grammatical that I'd like to submit on, so page 1, 2, and 5. And then just to make note that not the hearing closed, the time on that, I think it was like 10:50 or something. Did you have any?
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure on page 2, the third paragraph, it says, Ms. Green reviewed the order of conditions. This is about Cooper Farm, request for sign-off on building department occupancy permit. You need to put in the required signs after Ms. Green verifies the location and I'm assuming that it means and is provided the recorded version of the homeowners association. Is that what you want that to say?
I don't know, I'm lost.
It's
Okay, yep.
2, 3.
I think it was just the word like
Third
is that was in
sentence.
there.
And is provided the recorded version?
Okay, yep,
Is that right?
yes,
Okay, all right.
which I have, but yes.
Right.
Okay.
There's no further additions or omissions?
Move that we accept the,
Oh, one more.
you got one more?
The, okay, on page 3, the continued public hearing, Hartwell Avenue, 73. LUHPL isn't spelled out, and I'm sorry, I don't know what that is.
The land use of high pollution load potential.
Okay.
I think I missed a P. But yeah,
Okay, I thought it should be spelled out because I didn't know
Yeah,
what
yeah,
it
yeah,
meant.
All the acronyms, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me see, make sure. Page 4, Rebecca Guguera, is she, it's Solitude, isn't it? It's not Solitude Lake? Isn't it
I'll
just
double check which it
Solitude?
is. Yeah, I thought I saw it on some of the letterhead, but I'll double check.
Maybe it's lake-specific, a portion of Solitude that has to do with lakes, is that what that means?
I'll double check.
Okay. Anyway, I think those are the ones that I have questions about. The others are just little edits.
Perfect.
Here, a motion to accept the minutes.
Move that we accept the minutes as amended.
All those in favor, and I'm going to vote.
I'm sorry, did I get a
Well-
second?
Yep.
I'm going to
Okay.
vote present, because I wasn't there for the meeting.
Yes, you vote abstain.
Okay,
Present means nothing according to Diane, so.
whatever. Okay. Cooper Farm new owners, Mickey Jensen and Doug Shaw.
Come on up. So when do you guys want to go through?
Oh, you might want to start with Doug because he submitted the information ahead of time.
Excellent.
You got it, but you weren't first. So, Doug has 2 of the lots that are in buffer zone, and Vicky has 1, is that correct?
No.
That's in the buffer zone. And you have not started building on lot 9 yet, right?
Yes, I have.
Oh, yes, you have, never mind.
9 and 10 are done.
Yeah. Oh, but I'm sorry, 9 was one of the ones that was withdrawn.
Right.
So far out, sorry, so it's just 10.
Just lot 10.
And he provided, those plans in the middle there are the original plan, and then his foundation permit, because you don't have an as-built yet. So the house had actually shifted back a little bit, and it's all outside the buffer zone anyway.
6 feet further out. How's that?
Gold star for that one.
Uh-huh.
Or does that mean you're going to put a deck on the back?
Oh, I'm putting a deck, but that's 12 feet further.
With the deck, yeah.
So the deck is actually in the middle of the home where it shows on the current plan. It shows it on the right-hand side. If you're facing it from the street, it's now going to be centered on the home. So it'll actually be an additional 12 feet away from the wetland line,
Which doesn't show on here.
because it's not built yet.
Anybody have any questions?
So basically, this is just one of the.
So this is the NOI, and that's what the
Yeah.
foundation plan is
Right.
today.
Okay, and then that's the 100-foot. I mean, you're, most everybody's out.
Wait, so that's the way it was? Is the way it is?
That's the
Well, that's what
NOI
it
that
is.
was
That's a
submitted,
car.
and that's the
Yeah.
as-built.
That's how he's doing it.
Okay.
Yep.
Jog there.
So how big's the deck gonna be?
12 by 12.
But it's still slid back.
And it's moved over. Plus, there's a 7,000-gallon septic tank
Right.
that's in that utility easement.
Do you want to see this one?
No, down further. 7,000.
Yeah.
What's the town? It's the communal septic. So multiple single tanks go to that.
So other than this corner of the septic,
7,000.
what else is in the,
That's a,
That's the home, it's the,
not just
like
one
there's
house.
anything else
Yes,
that's
it's many
in
of them.
grading in the buffer?
No, the grading is, as you see,
Yeah.
because they needed it for their,
lucky people.
so.
so, okay. Do you guys have any questions on that?
Gets to be responsible.
So as
for
part
that.
of the
homeowners-
regulations for all
homeowners
new
association.
to
Right.
come in, so appreciate you coming in and certainly making amendments to make it smaller and less in the resource area. Okay. You guys have any questions for Doug? Okay.
So the septic system is proposed, but it's not designed yet, is it?
It's already in.
It's already in.
It's already there.
It-
That's,
it's-
that's the communal one, yeah.
Oh,
Here, Anna.
Yeah, sorry, there's two different plans.
all right, good.
And that was all pre-approved.
Have you submitted anything?
I just got this from the engineer, but this, I haven't built anything yet.
Okay.
This is the house I wanna build, so.
And here's, that's lot 14. That's the
Yeah.
approved plan. I haven't looked at them yet, so.
Yeah.
So this is for awareness purposes that we asked you to come in for that?
Yep.
And so certainly you can make things smaller and further away from the wetlands, which is appreciated. But certainly, we would ask that if you do have any changes to come in ahead of time.
Yeah. So I don't have it.
Yeah, it looks like that's not 20 scale, your new plan.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'll have to get a bigger plan, but.
What do you mind, just give them a quick overlay, see if there's
Yeah,
any
yeah.
issues, and you'll.
Yeah.
So how far away is the current house?
The
I know
one-
you haven't built the house yet.
This isn't the one I'm building, but the back corner is right on the 50-foot buffer. This one actually looks about the same size, if not a little bit smaller. There's no deck on this, it's just gonna be a patio.
Okay.
Well, it'll be a 4x4 landing for the door, but
Okay.
just a patio.
Okay. So, but if you do make changes to that, to bring
Yeah.
those in?
Are erosion controls on that plan? Or
They're
is
al-
it
they're
just,
already
that's
in.
just
They're
proposed?
they're
they're
already in for the utilities.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you say you were doing two houses or you're doing two houses?
I'm
No,
just
he
doing
is.
a single home.
Saying that you're doing two? Or you just doing?
No, I'm doing 6, but this is the only one
Six.
that's.
My lot 9 was removed from your guidelines, I guess.
Yeah, it was withdrawn, because it was only like in the 100-foot buffer zone by.
So this is the only one of the six that's
This is one of the
adjacent
6
to
that
the
Right.
wetland?
involves you guys, yeah.
Okay. We appreciate you coming in. Anybody have any questions? Do you guys have any questions for the commission? Okay. Good,
All
thank
right.
you.
Thanks.
Coming in?
Not working off of that. Can I have that?
Yeah, I can have these. I'll leave it on there too.
Right, do you want me to email this to you, or do you think you already have it?
I have it.
Okay, all right, good.
Thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Invasive species committee?
Why don't we push that off to when you have your whole discussion?
I can, for sure.
You're gonna be here anyway.
Sorry, take a nap.
What am I doing here?
How many, which other ones? It looks like there's 2 or 3 here. Vernal pool review? What do you-
The vernal pool review, we can push that to the end, and I didn't know if you wanted to hear a generic regulatory directed discussion of vernal pools, not a project specific, but just kind of what the thresholds and stuff are. So we can.
Let's
do
try,
that at the end.
let's
Yeah, I
try
think
and,
that'd be
let's,
useful.
yeah, let's put vernal pool to the end. You're gonna talk about SVT, the trails. Let's go and jump down to Cobwell.
That's pretty much as a heads up, they need to do, a 15-day, I think it is, pump test out there. And DEP says they cannot just put it in a dewatering pit, they have to get it all the way out when they're dewatering it. So they really see a worst case, there's no chance of recharge.
Okay.
So, I don't know, somewhere in there I had that.
What are they gonna do, put it in the pond?
No, they have to go to the pond outlet. It has to be below the pond, the discharge is. So it'll be in, I think Cup's field, and Corey's already talked with Cup. And then it goes to Cloverdale. That figures.
Well, Cup has a huge irrigation pond there, could it go right into that?
Well, if he's talked to him, I'm sure
Well,
Jerry and he
yeah,
can come up with an
basically,
agreement, so that's fine.
Corey, there's already an order of conditions for the wells. The pump test for the wells was pretty vague in all the discussions. I don't know if anyone really considered a 15-day, 24-hour pump test or not. So Corey's main question was, would it need an amended order of conditions or just, come in and chat? So if you have strong feelings one or the other, I was going to give him a heads up. Although he's slated to come in.
15-year-old farm.
It's 15 days of pumping.
Oh,
Oh, it's not a
what am I
15.
saying?
So what are they looking at for test
Volume.
pumping days? So it's 15 days at around the
15
clock?
continuous days.
At what volume, do you have any idea?
I
Okay, and so they were gonna dewater it into some
Yeah.
sort of infiltration basin, and now
Now
they're
they've
told
gotta
they
move
Well,
can't
for
do that,
the
so they
shore
have
pump test,
to.
that's what they do, right on site.
Right, sure,
But now
which is
they have
easier.
to, by DEP, they have to go much further afield with it.
Okay.
And it will be 15 days.
Do we know when they're looking at that, during frozen conditions or thaw?
He's thinking probably June,
Okay,
if he lines somebody up.
okay, because definitely not in the winter.
So I told him I just at least give you a heads up if there's any knee-jerk reaction about if you think there's a new filing.
If you could,
Because dewatering was always considered.
right,
And when Savos came in, I was going through the minutes.
Yep.
So it was always part of the discussion, but.
right.
Should
I
probably
think we just have
discuss
to
it.
know downstream and then potential volume.
Yeah, I asked them to try to get some idea of maybe what the watershed is.
Right.
And I said they're building a boardwalk downstream, let's coordinate that.
Well, like
Was it a
erosion
gallon and a half a
issues
second?
and-
I don't.
I think if we can just have some
Hour
data
and a half a
and then
second.
bring that to the next meeting, just to carry that conversation over.
There it is.
That makes sense.
Okay.
There's the path it would take, but if anybody really cares, there's.
I think
Cooper.
that we can, once we know the volume, we can carry on with the discussion further.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Bylaw regulatory review?
You also might want to push that to the end, maybe, just
Okay.
get it out of the way, I think, yeah.
Okay.
Cottage,
Oh,
do
yeah,
you want
seven.
Cottage Way?
So
to be on?
Cottage Way, that email, is that enough for the update?
That's all it was, it's, nothing really happened when we went down last Friday, which Rebecca was kind of surprised that the hearing judge or whatever the hell he is, didn't even want to hear from anybody. He said, you guys need to talk to each other, so, the town DEP left, they talked to each other, nothing happened, so.
Who had to talk to each other?
The
parties.
plaintiff and the
Oh,
defender, or whatever
okay,
they're called.
got it.
Well, they're there because they're not talking.
Okay.
Okay.
It was his way of holding everybody in, saying, try again to come to some agreement.
That's unfortunate, because people have waited a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay.
All right, 7:45. Guess we can move
Cooper
along.
Farm, come on up.
Cooper Farm discussion, construction update. Mass DEP 204-833 road and utility, -204, 838-204, 839 houses includes discussion of process of signing off building department certificate of occupancy and release of sediment to the wetlands near Basin 4.
Okay.
Lucky you.
Okay.
I'm in.
So I think what we should do is go
I
ahead.
have the buyer here, if you'd like to talk to her as well. right now. Or
Sure.
do you want to
that-
introduce her after?
Let's do a site overview first, so that the commission know of where we were when Amy and I were out. So let's talk about, Amy, do you have any site plans? So just to do a recap from the last meeting to this meeting, what we were asked to do of the commission, and I believe many of the members went out to look specifically at 5.
Yep.
But just want to, because we've had some challenges on the site,
Yes, we
just to
have.
bring the commission on record of what we've done so far from the thaw and that, and then we would like to discuss some challenges that are on site as well.
So, since our last meeting, we had installed the signs on, 3 signs on Lot 5. We have added erosion control where you thought, and we thought as well, that it was necessary. We have cleaned up, and Amy inspected today and came out, we had cleaned up where basin number 4 had broke free. We put the additional wattle down, we put the additional hay bales, and when we cleaned up the sediment that had gone out here. We have set up the hay bales out in the field area for the pumps.
How many days did you pump? 3?
How many days did we pump? 3?
Yeah, from that basin 3, when we pumped over.
As I told Amy today, Michael will be here momentarily. I ran the pump today, and that's the one I know of.
Okay.
That I can
Okay,
answer and say that I ran today.
okay,
And Amy showed up literally a half an hour after I shut it off.
yep.
And the field was clean, the water was good.
Michael just showed up.
Good.
Let's hold off for a second so we don't
You know,
keep backtracking.
right.
Okay. So, do you want to have him come up?
Since our last meeting, I've explained what we've been doing to the best of my ability.
Oh, gosh. Somebody told me 8 o'clock. I'm so sorry. Oh.
Okay, so we'll get to those in a second. So, Michael, what we were doing was just going over from the last meeting to this meeting, what's kind of gone on with site. And so
Yep.
we get a sense of what's been dewatered, and we
Yep.
just started that. So we were talking about the
We put the
signs
signs
in.
up.
Yep.
We put the additional erosion control up that was required.
Yep.
We put the additional erosion control here that we were asked of. We cleaned this today, which Amy saw.
And, yeah, and then, so there's around that was the hay bale line, and then there's some pictures of what Patriot did today.
Yep.
We got probably 75% of the areas that weren't frozen today, starting with the lowest point towards the edge of wetlands from the water line back this way. There's an area right here along the walking path that goes down through here that still was frozen today, that it's actually right in that area right there. It's still, it's probably 20 by 30 that we still have to address. And it was even frozen this afternoon still, so.
So 4 was dewatered.
I did today.
Yep.
Here.
So,
Did you dewater 4 before today? We're just trying to get a sense of how much it's gone down.
4 has gone down quite a bit because of also the pipe going across the leveling pipe.
Yep.
We put, the other day we dewatered it once, but today we started dewatering it up into the hay bales. We met with Hydrograss last, it's probably like was it a
10
week?
days ago.
10 days ago. He brought us out the flock logs.
Yep.
We put them in the flared ends on ponds 3, 4, 1.
Right.
Today, we put the electric pump in and we're recirculating it around. So it's, there's a noticeable difference in the color of the water right now. So, and then
So-
tomorrow we're going to we met with Mark last week, and I'm going to do a tiered hay bale catch going down the side right there prior to any storms or anything like that, just to keep the water level right now is down 3 feet from
Right. Yep.
the other day.
So I was out this afternoon, probably about 3 hours after Amy and Julie came out as well. So let's just talk a little bit about the observations that we saw on 4 today.
Yep.
So I'm glad you have the flocking going on. We just need to know that we need to get above 40 degrees to have them be efficient. So,
Yes, yeah.
So that's
It
kind
does-
of the magic number for
right.
those to work, in our experience, is 40 to 42 degrees. So, but we did see a significant discharge in 4 this afternoon. So I was there around 4:30, 4:45. And so the concern is the discharge that's going out is heavily silted. And so a couple things of concern. So the drainage from the road is contributing.
Yes.
So we need to, A, figure out how to clean that up in the road, or potentially divert it into a different basin, potentially your 3 basin. So one suggestion that we might have is pumping 4 to 3, because you've got the capacity right now, but 3, as of this moment, is discharging. So you might know why that's.
4 is
I mean,
discharging.
4, yep, so
Yeah.
sorry. So 4 is, just write on this, so 4, and then 3. So 4 is discharging dirty right now, so, and you've got capacity in 3. So a couple things, your drainage is turned on, so obviously we've got other silt coming in up on the road,
Yep.
and we can kind of get to
With
that. And-
significant silt that was put in there prior to all summer, just because we've been.
Well,
we
you
turned-
also have
yeah.
silt sacks that are really disgusting. So that's contributing, and you've got some issues on the road as well. So that's going to be the discussion of how you'd like to address that.
Yep.
But I think in the immediate future, you may want to pump 4 to 3,
Okay,
because
Yep.
it is discharging at the moment.
Yep.
So, and the flock logs and things like that. In this weather conditions, it's not going to work.
okay.
So that needs to be.
We can just block it off at the flared end and have it just go right into, and I can block off, I can put the block, the 10-inch plug inside the catch basin on 4, and we'll do that. It will rise up until we get to the invert of the pipe coming from 4 to 3, and then we'll just discharge it out that way. So I can completely block off basin 4.
Okay.
Um,
So I think those are the types of things on this site that really has to be really attentive to. And so what we did see, Julie and I, when we walked the road in that section today, the silt sacks, some are not even working, some are
On these
across
structures right
from-
here?
Yeah, well, across from, is it lot 15?
16, 14, and
This is 17.
this is the,
This is 21. This is the entrance.
Take 50 on it today. Was that, it's right where
it's
the.
right here, because then there was a site truck right here. That was.
It's where
that-
all Patriots equipment was.
Yep.
And then,
Oh, that's on lot
That's a
7.
little cul-de-sac
yep,
in there.
and then also up by where the screener is, where the road comes down, you can see where the water settles
Okay, yeah.
on that
Yeah.
road. Those
Yeah.
basins are,
Yeah.
I mean, the catch
Yeah,
basins are
I'm-
full and they're
I mean, they
dirty.
get.
We'll clean,
So-
we'll clean the silt sacks out.
Yep, but what's happening is that you've got a breach
Like that guy, too.
here, because there's no curb.
That's
Right.
a
So
brand new
the
silt sack
water
on that
is
one.
flowing
But
right
that's,
through.
so that structure right there,
Yes.
They're all right by that
Goes-
cul-de-sac.
so just in this cul-de-sac, those structures go into basin 4.
Right, so
That's
that's
the
it.
only ones.
Right, they're contributing.
Yes.
Is
You're
what we're
getting a lot
saying.
of
So
silt into there.
you're
Yes.
getting silt in there, you're getting the flow in from there. So the road needs to be addressed.
Yep.
Because without curbing, you're going to constantly be chasing yourself.
Yep,
And that's a challenge.
yep.
The
Would it help
washout
to
from
put,
up the hill
hay
too.
bales
Yes.
with the washout
Um,
from the-
No, it needs to get gravel to kind of curb it a little bit, because it's coming down.
It's coming across.
Yeah, I mean, from this elevation right here, top of this, right here is 300, and down by here it's 265. It's a 35-foot elevation
When was the
change.
last time the catch basins were cleaned, those silt sacks?
So I made a phone call today about having somebody come clean the drains.
The-
in the-
The structures and the storm scepters.
Okay.
Um,
Because there's some that are just not
These,
working.
these ones are the newest ones. I put in probably 2.5 to 3 weeks ago. We changed those ones out. These ones right along here are probably the worst ones right here, and the structure right here. And then up on this corner right here, there's one that's heavily silted up right here as well.
Okay.
Um,
So as part of like O&M, that's supposed to be really ongoing.
Yep,
So, and I think that, based on the freeze thaw and the, really, you're busy at a building, so we've got to be much more progressive about that. Because we're definitely seeing the impact down gradient.
yep. So I'll plug up pond, the structure in basin 4, and then we'll just, I mean, we pump down, the pumps, it's pretty efficient. It moves quite a bit of water up into this area right here, into that hay bale corral.
Okay,
You've got snow and rain coming in on
Yeah.
Wednesday,
right, so
Yeah.
that's what I hear.
So if we can go ahead and get them cleaned, but also get that water moved over, so capacity-wise, so
Yep.
now that
Tomorrow I'll
you've
get the,
you've
I'll
been
get the
using
plug-in
this,
structure.
we're not gonna be flocking in this weather. You can certainly pull those out if you need to, although some of them look pretty used already, but you will have to be progressive about the water in
Mhm.
there as well.
Yep, this is, I mean, you know, we did the pump today, and there was no overflow out of this structure
Yeah.
from
It's
the
down
last
pretty
rain,
low.
so
Yeah.
we're ahead of it, you know, since I've, you know, been aware of that, I've been on that one right there as well.
So, some comments that we have from being out on site is that up above Lot 5, where you have the gravel pad, but then there's a lot of loam and topsoil in that, that is still potential to slide, so you should put more wattles and that in there. So to really keep it from going into that.
Road area?
Yeah, well, yeah, into your pond.
Oh, you mean on Lot 5 on this?
Yeah, so right up, if I have a picture, I can show you.
Oh, here's what.
It's
Right here?
where your junction box is, where your utilities.
Also, it's in the front, it's in the front.
So it's up.
Oh, okay,
it's
so.
up over
okay,
here.
Yep, just
So-
from the
Because
crest of the mountain.
that's where this is still coming down. You've
Yep.
got your gravel up top.
Yep.
But all this is open,
Mhm.
so this has a potential to slide.
All right.
So,
I got a loam pile. If I can
and
get to it tomorrow, I'll spread it out over it, just to.
oh, no, you need something to stay, the loom's just gonna get wet and slide. So what we're looking for is put more wattles in or some netting or something to try and keep it from sliding. I wouldn't put any more material on there. It's super soft already.
Yeah,
Like
I
make
mean-
another horseshoe? Is that-
Well, we
just try-
can
you-
go from the corners of
Yeah.
the house to the corner
So
of
you're
the other
trying
house.
to terrace with wattles to try and keep more silt from going into that area. That's just part of the progressiveness that we need on the site. So
Stump
that,
grindings?
um,
I still have 100
Yeah.
yards of stump grindings.
yeah, I mean, you've got it, and it's certainly worked in some of the other areas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it definitely worked in that area right here and in that area right there. That's stump grindings that we hydroseeded over, and it's been phenomenal.
Yeah.
for the
Well, I think this
whole-
will be a temporary measure till
Yeah.
you get through the
Yep.
weather.
All right, I'll do that.
Okay.
Okay.
So, let's,
If I may, just one other thing, I would also keep track of the outlet to Basin 3. If you're pumping through the hay bales, then nothing's going out that long culvert. I just make sure you
Okay.
don't lose track of what's coming out there.
All right, yep.
you're keeping logs of when you're doing these things, right?
We logged
So-
it today. Yep.
Okay. Yep, so anytime that you're running, if you're dewatering anything, it needs to be logged. Anytime you're moving water on site. Okay. Okay, so any other updates on kind of work that's been done since the last meeting to this?
Clean up, right?
I did some, yeah, we did the cleanup. I added additional stone on, around the structures on both. Patriot added it today, so that there is no more chance of it undermining the frost if we get, substantial rain.
Okay.
Any chance that, that we've had an opportunity to work out there that, when weather permitting, we've, tried to address as much as we can.
So, can I ask, where did you see the dirty water specifically, in that back corner?
It's coming right through the pipe, flowing.
Where the stone is, through that
From the
stone?
From the
From the
stone.
structure in this corner to the
I
outlet, the
see.
flared
Woody,
end.
I was there right when,
Yeah.
like 2 minutes after you, so you would have seen it. It was
Like,
flowing.
It was flowing, but it was like a little bit milky. I didn't think it was real, maybe something, oh God.
Anytime it's
There's
dirty
there's
coming out,
definitely
it's,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely.
dirt is dirt.
Coming from that flared end, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So, okay. All right, so updates with that. Do you want to go through your updates conversation for cleanup?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do cleanup first.
Yeah.
Do you want to, Janet, maybe just walk through some of those
Sure.
photos?
I don't have, well, that's separate, Mike.
That's okay.
We don't have
That's
We can share.
fine, we can share. Just throw them in there. We'll share. So do you want to just kind of walk us through what
Sure.
you've,
Amy had done a site walk on January 16th after we had
The
the
heavy
problem with.
rain and
Yeah.
frost and,
So she had, taken some photographs and made some notations on things that we needed to work on. So what I tried to do is just get some before and afters. So going through and looking where we had made improvements. And this is just right at the corner of the site.
Lot
near-
12.
Yeah, behind lot 12.
Yep.
We added stump grindings. I don't know how many people got to
Yep.
walk the whole site. So just to give you an overview. And then I know I'm pretty sure you all know this, but sometimes there is a little bit of silt, like as there's a fair amount shown in Amy's picture here, but it is actually the third line of defense in that specific area. So there are 2 more layers
Between it.
between it before, you know what I mean? Like that we've built it out. So
The original erosion control line was set back, and behind that there's.
quite a bit. So, when we go out to look at it every day, like that might not be our very first priority if we have water coming out of pond 4 because
There is another layer.
we have,
Right,
additional
but
layers.
anytime you have anything coming out like that,
Right,
that's a concern.
right.
And then I did address, that right there with additional stump grindings.
Yep.
So,
Right.
And then just showing that,
Pond levels.
dewatering the pond levels at Basin 3.
Yep.
How, full it was back on January. And we put the corral out in the field and been trying, when weather permits, to bring the level down.
Yep.
And then looking at the photographs from the report and the cleanup that has been able to get done. So you can see, a lot of the sediment has been raked
So
and
this
shoveled.
is
That was
the
Amy's.
contributed from 3 and 4, just so people know where they're kind
Yep.
of looking at that. Okay.
So a lot of it, when I went out to take photographs this afternoon, I was happy to see, where a lot of it had been removed.
And that's where, Michael, you referred to, there was still another
Right here.
20 feet or so.
So going towards the east, along the path,
This path.
going this way, there's still,
We didn't, because it was dark down there
yeah, there was a little area that's still,
that
Yep.
way.
I think I actually did get a
Yep.
picture of the area that's, maybe.
I think you can see, so it's that way.
yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And it's contained on the higher side of it by the rocks itself still, but it still needs, once it's unfrozen, we can,
Okay.
So another photograph, just I tried to get in the same location
Right.
as Amy was taking the pictures to replicate, although it's not perfect, but it gives you an idea for,
And Patriot did the removal?
yes. And I helped them, I was with them too.
And this is outfall from 4. We're on a different page, sorry. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is more, this photograph that you're on.
It's like
I should
before
have
and
named-
after.
Numbered the pages.
You
Photo 13 is more behind pond 3. It's
So,
center,
yeah, it's probably like right in this area, just before you get to the
Yep.
area that we couldn't get to today.
It's actually like a walking path.
Yes.
almost.
Yep.
Yep.
And just some more post cleanup images before and afters, just
Okay.
to show you that there's work in progress.
Okay.
And then finally, the final page is just some images of erosion control specific, where it needed to be staked better and cleaned out in front of and on lot 5.
Okay. So I think we've talked about everything but 5, is that correct? So we're clear on.
We're clear.
Yep.
Needs
On
to
our
be
path,
done
yep.
No,
on
yeah.
the site. I can't stress to you enough that the site is fragile, and with the weather predicaments, we recognize that we've had some strong storms, but as the chairman did comment a few minutes ago, that continue to keep chasing your tail. And so I think now we've all learned that the stump grindings work,
Yep.
and you can
The
never
hay
have,
bales
you can
work,
never have
and
enough erosion
right,
control.
And I every time, the
So-
last time it rained, we
Yeah.
put the hay bales out, and
Right.
and that was, I blocked off the whole cul-de-sac in one section because,
Yep.
the
Be
weekend.
better active too
We
about
actually
your
got
silt
quite a bit of
socks.
water last night, surprisingly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of rain last
Yep, and it works, I mean, it does.
And, that might be why the water doesn't just all of a sudden run after the storm. So sometimes it's hours later where it's still starting to come up through with some of the groundwater. for,
Yeah, it wasn't
Yep.
for
gushing,
that as
but
well.
I went there earlier.
Did you take a picture of that? Yeah, so we have a picture of that as well.
How
Okay.
how much frost do you encounter in the ground?
Right now, there's, if it's in a shady area, there's like 2.5 feet.
That's what I thought.
In a area where, that's not disturbed with some snow on it, there's only about a foot.
Some good mud, too.
Yeah.
Are you
Yeah,
gonna
a
be
lot of
opening up
fines
more
in that
ground,
soil.
or are you gonna
A lot
wait
of
until
fines.
it?
Possibly, I mean, I have a couple pieces of equipment we're working on right now, so it could be a couple weeks.
To do
Where,
what?
where would that be?
On Lot 8, on the corner of,
Right here.
right
Did this
here.
lot.
Okay.
For, you know, there's a huge pile of dirt that we have to remove first, though, and, you know, that'll help as well.
You know, you don't want to be deceived. I've been thinking about it myself. We got all this bare ground, you know, thinking, oh, the winter's over with. But it's
Oh, no.
No.
But we're just getting in,
Right,
And there's
we're-
tomorrow.
we're-
potentially getting into it.
We're a third
Snow,
through
and
winter.
then there'll
Yeah.
be snow melt,
Still, yeah.
plus rain.
Yep.
and-
Yeah.
I think,
Um,
yep. So let's go ahead and start to talk about 5, but I think one thing that we noticed, especially when Amy and I were out on site during that terrific rainstorm weeks ago, is that we've got to try and figure out how to slow down the velocity of all that rain that comes down into that cul-de-sac, because it wants to go to 5, it wants to go into that area. So if there's a way to try and manage that a little bit better, even in your cul-de-sac, you know, turning it into an area where you have more crushed rock or something like that to try and slow it down.
And when I put additional crushed rock in, it actually almost,
It
you know,
helped.
it it turned it into a bigger basin area right there and slowed down the velocity going into there. It just created, you know, a puddle around those,
Yeah.
that
Well,
larger
puddle's
catch
better
basin.
than getting it in the wetlands. but
Right.
The other
So-
thing is, we've lost control of, we would keep our eye on the weather and put out
Yeah.
hay bale swales, and really,
Dams
the
on the
traffic,
road.
and we
Yep,
can't really do that
exactly.
right now, so.
But that's something that, and I know it's hard with the contractors coming in and out, but that's that part of being proactive. That
Yep.
There may be
I
times.
still
you just
have, I
to
still
keep
have
doing that.
additional hay bales.
Yep.
You know,
Okay,
get them, I can go across the street, get them, bring them out day before, and it
Yep.
works great.
okay. So for, Chairman wasn't here at the last meeting, and so we talk about 5, and then we saw the overlay of what was permitted, what was built, and then I think approximately we're at the 14-foot mark of change that went closer to the wetlands. I'll let you kind of talk about the before and the after. It's my understanding that we're still outside of the 50, barely. And then we have the challenge just to talk about the grading, because the grading that's there, and that's why we did ask to have the homeowner come in as well, that the grading that's there is not ultimately the grading that's going to be the final grading, because we have to talk about plantings and things like that. So do you want to just, for the commissioners, because
Yeah.
Amy was great about asking everyone to go out, and she sent your plans to us, so everyone had it electronically, you know,
Beautiful.
a week
You can
ago,
explain
so.
the grading situation, 'cause that's not my
Well,
strength.
I
So-
think we should talk about the grading first.
The grading on the site, as proposed from what the limit of work, between the limit of work and the hay bale line, is actually, the hay bales are 3 feet closer to the house than what was on the original plan. So there's an extra 3 feet of room from what we proposed to what's actually here right now.
So if you guys look at your last page, you'll be able to see kind of the hay bale line. You'll see that is actually the stake, that's the sign that was just put in. You'll see that as well. So, and you'll see kind of some of those rocks as well. So we've got, you're saying 3 extra feet, because we still have to get the plants in here.
Mhm.
Okay.
And some of that 3 feet, you know, the hay bales, the stump grinding's still gonna get removed and get that down to elevation 264.
This might be a better picture that kind of shows the house, if anybody wants
So-
to.
And that right there, the top of slope is actually a foot lower than what was proposed to. It was,
Excuse me, would you say the top is, which?
the top of the slope, if you look at the house right outside, right here, this elevation is 1 foot lower than what was on the plan. So we brought the elevation down a little bit.
Okay.
So it's not going to be such a steep slope going from the top of slope to toe of slope.
So am I correct, am I hearing you correctly in saying that you think the grade that's there is the grade that will stay?
Yes.
Well, it has to be loam.
We have to put 6 inches of loam on it as well, yeah. I had Jonathan go out and do all the topos and that, and he said you have 3 extra feet right there, where you could have the toe slope go out a little further. And not only that, and he said the finished grade right here was a foot lower as well.
What do you mean, the toe slope going closer to the wetland?
Yes, I could have proposed what we proposed initially, than what's actually there. You know, we were being cautious when we put out the hay bales. We didn't need to go out any further than we had to, and instead of cutting more trees down, we just followed the tree line right there as well.
So from the wetlands flag to
Like
the...
wetlands tent, flag
9 and
10.
Yeah,
10.
Yep.
to the hay bales, you're probably, what you're saying is like at 53 versus 50 feet from the wetlands. 'Cause
Well, the
hay-
25-foot buffer zone right there is just inside the hay bales on that one right there. You know, or right in the corners, that right there would be right at the 25-foot. It does go in a little further. The edge of wetlands from like flag 10, and is that flag 9?
9 and,
Yeah.
9 is this way,
Yeah,
and
10's
11
right.
is up further
Yeah.
towards 6.
I don't quite understand.
So what we're saying is that the grading that we have, we could have come out further.
So you're talking about-
We've lowered our
We
grade
could
in
have
the
brought the
backyard
toe
by
slope
1
that
foot.
way, yeah.
So they're only talking about grade, not about distances. Is that?
We're
okay.
talking about grade. Our grade that we have is 1 foot lower in the back of the house than that was approved on the plan, and that we could have gone out further,
That would increase the slope of the,
correct.
by, you know,
So having
We're
it 1
right-
foot
we're
lower
right
by the house,
on
you didn't
where
have to
we
go out as
further
far as
approved
the toe.
plan.
yes,
Okay.
it brought it in almost 3 feet.
So let's talk plantings then. So ultimately, if we're looking at what's going to stay,
Yep,
the hay bales, the erosion control would come out, and in that free space
yep,
is where
the 12,
all the plantings
The
will
blueberry
be.
bushes, yes.
yep.
That's what I was trying
13?
to explain when we were on site, and I
Yeah.
think that you and I were on 2 different pages.
Right, because we were looking at where the wetlands flag was.
Right.
And,
We had JJ come out and do his topo and show that we're right on.
Does everybody have one of these that shows the house?
Yeah,
the-
we
yeah,
emailed
that's,
it.
yeah, we emailed.
Yep,
Okay.
the 50-foot, no disturb.
Okay. So the two issues are,
And we still have some work to do. You know, they had just put in the force main, which is, you know, 10 feet from the hay bales that were there. So, and that's, you know, that was the last thing that we put in.
okay. So going forward, the kind of elephant in the house is that you built the house closer to the wetlands. So, and I think, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think you know that you shouldn't do that. And if we've done that, you have to come in and you have to do the as-bills and you have to shoot the grades and things like that. So this is all part of not trying to be reactionaries, to be proactive about this as well.
Have you got any more that have changed?
Well, we've given you lots 5 and 6 that are built.
We don't have the plans for 6, though, do we?
Yes, you do.
Well, it's right, that's.
No, the actual grade.
That's-
Yeah,
He did say
Oh, you,
those were-
we do
That-
have the
Yes,
as-built?
that's
Okay, I
the-
haven't seen
that's
it.
the
We're
actual-
focusing on,
So you can see the
I
dotted,
didn't say
yeah,
that.
we're focusing, because we
Right.
knew the time element
Right,
for
right.
5. Okay. I'll give that back to you. Okay.
yeah.
So this is the time that we just open up for comments for the commissioners, how they feel about the grading, the movement of the house, and going forward.
But I think the grading is a non-issue because it's just as the plan showed, just as, I don't think the grading is an issue. I think it's the location of
Well,
the
it's-
house.
So that's what you were saying before, is that even though the house is closer, the grading is still the same in
Correct.
terms of the proximity to the wetland?
Because of the force mains, so that had to have a certain cover on it. So that's why the toe slope is where it is.
Right. So the
Um,
lawn, I noticed the lawn, even though it's right at
So
the 50,
it'll still
the
have to be
lawn goes into the
finished.
50.
Yep, it still needs to be
Okay.
finished as well. So, I mean, it's not all, hasn't all taken 100%, so. But
And that was just precautionary,
Yep.
to stabilize it through the fall.
Right.
I just had it hydroseeded.
So, and that's their obligation to do that, not the homeowners.
Yes.
So,
And we have a holdback for that.
right, yep. Okay.
So,
So essentially, we're only giving them a partial release.
We're not
And-
giving-
no,
we're not
there's no
giving them
release
anything.
because it's
And
just-
that's
it's-
because he wasn't here at the last meeting, so we've made accommodations. So this is solely for the occupancy of it. It has nothing to do,
And there's actually two orders of conditions. One's for the road itself, which is the one that's closer to the edge of wetlands, for the ponds, the force main, and then there was 12 individual order of conditions for each house.
So I would like to see I don't want this to go into infinity of when the plantings are going to happen. So going forward, I'd like to have something concrete to say, give us a date and everything is going to be done. So that way we're kind of holding you to finish this particular house. So
Okay.
all the grading's done, all the plantings are done. We'll still continue, you're still on to monitor the plantings.
Yep.
We can amend that if you want. I think when we first did that, Amy, we held out for 2 years for that, or,
I forget.
okay.
so we have an agreement with the buyers and their lender to have their open items completed by May 5th, I think the date was.
Yep.
Laura?
Yep.
I think it was May 5th.
So-
Yeah. It's the
So, and
beginning
I
of
was
May.
thinking for plantings that we'd want to have, they'd be in the ground by May 1 anyways, so how do you feel with that date?
That's good.
I think you're pushing your luck on that,
Yeah, I do
depending
too.
on,
You
on
think?
how wet it is in that
I agree.
spring.
Okay.
I
So do you want
think-
to say
It's
And it's
early,
shady
May.
there.
June?
It's
It is
shady there,
shady,
too.
that's a good point.
It's early.
To get the
We
grass
have
to
to have
grow.
them for May 5th for the bank anyways.
Right, but
so-
we're
Well,
saying
you're
we need to
trying, but
we need to make
realistically, I
sure
think June
it's
first.
You want
stable
it to
and it's
grow.
growing,
Yeah.
so.
I understand.
And I did, I've done a lot of investigating on the.
Well, can we say,
Say June 1?
June 1st is the latest? And then if
I mean, we wanted
if the weather's better, we can do it earlier, if it's,
I know, but we're making concessions that I think you've made the commission uneasy, and so we're trying to make sure that going forward, we're not going to be constantly checking up on your work to have this done. So I feel comfortable with June 1. If it looks, I mean, it is a shady area, so it might be hard to get grass to grow.
So June
At that
1 is
point.
for the blueberries, grading loam and seed?
Correct.
Yep.
And
Fine with that.
like
But does that
starting
mean
to
erosion
grow.
controls have to come out before you put in the blueberries? Is there
The-
room?
They have
what?
to. They have to.
They absolutely
That's where they're
have to.
going.
So, but that slope might not be stable.
I'll
But-
hydroseed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll-
I
we'll
think with that
have draft, but
tackifer,
I'll-
it'll
Yeah,
say.
the tackifier.
We should remove them.
So
once
that
slope's
was one of the
stable.
things
Yeah.
that, what was the name of the company?
So do you want to,
I would
do you wanna
remove
push-
those things until you know that.
so do you want to push that out?
They had a tackifier in
30th?
it, and that added, some additional
Right.
slope.
What about the sod then, Michael?
Sod's gonna go in the front.
All right, let's say June 30th. Is that better? So, okay.
As long as it isn't the wet June. If it all changes,
gotta-
you need to
it's
just
gotta
keep in
change
contact
sometime,
with.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just making assumptions.
Okay, so let's go back from a procedural standpoint. Amending? Procedurally, what are we doing?
That's the question.
Are you,
That's what I'm asking, we need to now, this is part of the discussion with the commissioners.
To move the house closer to the wetland?
That's what that's what I'm asking.
That's what they did.
You have basically three choices in any kind of change, a full new notice of intent, an amended order conditions, which will also be notifying of abutters and the whole 9 yards, or basically a field change.
So it's not a field change because we already required some of the other issues. So we already have the surveying done. We've done the site walks. You've already changed the order of conditions.
Why wouldn't it be a field change, Sarah?
Because we're amending, at minimum, it's a amendment, because we've amended the schedule of the plantings. So what are your thoughts? I don't think it's a simple field change, but I think because the work's already done, we've already done
You
that.
know, field change to move the house to 16 feet?
It's,
Or
No,
is
I'm
that-
saying the field change is not an option.
the house didn't get moved.
No.
The house
So,
didn't-
I'm
The house,
wondering what the
the
debate
house,
is
the house
on.
got moved 14 feet,
Well,
What's-
actually,
So
it didn't get moved 14 feet, it only got moved,
11.
but then the deck.
but
So
the
your
deck,
area-
the deck, is the 14 feet off the original.
So when we met, when we were, when Amy and I, when we looked at that, we had the scale when we were at Clover, then we met, and we agreed that that was a 14.
It's 11 feet.
Well, it's close, I mean, so, yeah, I mean,
Okay.
yeah, the-
It's still a significant distance.
It's a
whether
significant
11
distance when
or
you're that
14.
close to the wetlands.
Right.
I think.
But we're still outside the 50 feet.
no disturb area.
We're
Including the
still
deck.
outside, including the deck.
Yep.
Recognize that, but you still move
It's
closer.
a change, it's a
So-
change.
It is a
I'm
ch- it
not-
is a
You and
change.
I, we didn't
So-
debate that.
Right, so that's why,
But we're still outside the 50 feet, and we still had in our decision the ability to move around in there. Did we not?
whose ability? No,
No.
that's, anytime
No.
you change, when you come closer to the wetlands, you have to come to us, which I think that's a discussion that we had a month ago. So I don't think
Yep.
that's the issue.
You-
So
Okay,
the question is,
so-
are we going for notice of intent, amendment, or a field change? I don't believe it's a field change,
I don't either.
and it's up to the commission what they want to do, whether new NOI or an amended.
I think an amendment.
I think amended.
Yeah.
Okay. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, my thoughts is that I don't think it should be amended just because it's moving a house that distance. I could, moving a house 1 or 2 feet
Mhm.
is a difference in moving one 11 feet.
But we've had Durkee move houses around from the original plan. but
Closer
not
to
after the fact,
closer
but
to the
still
wetland.
Right.
But not that much.
Prior to.
Not that
Yeah,
much.
not
They've
that,
been in
not
for a
that
lot
much,
of
and then they actually
field change type.
made changes elsewhere, so smaller, so when you look at the overall scale, it's been net
The
reductions.
amount of impervious surface was
Exactly.
reduced, yeah.
So I don't feel as though that's comparing apples to
I believe you
apples.
said your
No.
footprint
But
is
that's
smaller than what was on the
We
approved.
can make changes
This
elsewhere
house
too.
is smaller than what was on the plan.
With lot 13 and 12.
Oh, okay, that was, I didn't realize
Right,
that.
okay.
I
So,
mean, I
let's-
mean, I guess my feeling
By,
is that
it's
this,
on
We
the,
can make,
it's on
we
this.
can make changes right here, right here and right there.
this slope has always been
And-
very
and remove those
precarious
two houses
behind
right
this
there out of the
house.
wetlands.
Yep.
And to
And
move
get
it
them on, and not even
closer,
have them on there.
when you have a precarious slope
Right.
from the get-go,
Well,
is
it's minimally
kind of
small.
troubling to me. Because it's been
Okay,
a,
well, you're gonna make other changes elsewhere that will be better,
We'll
Going
we'll
forward.
remove lots 12 and 13 from the plan,
so.
and we won't have these two houses on this right here, 12 or 13.
That's one idea that we're.
An
working
idea
on,
that we can do.
That we can go over here.
just to
and
get
be
them
out of the
further away
buffer.
from the
What do you
wetlands.
mean you can go over there?
We can put houses on
On these,
lots
through
20.
23 through 25, we have the ability to move these two over that are in.
Right now, the neighborhood is designed for 4 more houses than we have septic capacity for. So basically, we have an option to, for now, leave 3 lots open. So we're just talking about how we might be able to do that, shift them around to
Yeah.
get things further away from the wetlands.
If you're willing to go on the record with that, I think that will help for the impact, because I agree with Carl, we're in a very sensitive, impactful area, and we knew that when we first laid eyes on the plan.
We all did.
So,
That's where the first-
and so,
that's where the
and
first
that's
reach
an
was.
unfortunate
That one right
first
we already-
gun that you had, first shot coming out is like, this is the
We had
first
to go
hot.
there first.
I understand that, but
And-
it's
and- and
unfortunate that that's the
definitely-
one that had the
I'll go on the
challenge.
record saying both of them, because,
Lot 13.
but lot 12 itself, so the reason we are in this situation right here, because lot 12 isn't 25 feet off the edge of frontage.
So that's what I was wondering if you were going to explain, so. about
We
the
didn't talk
planning
about
board.
that yet.
So we had a decision, the planning board approved this set of plans right here.
No,
Then-
Conservation approved it, and then we went to Planning Board, and they made.
And then there was a decision written up saying that the houses had to be set amount distance off of the frontage property line, which if you took a scale and measured this, it's not. But this is the way it got approved. This is the way it got approved with conservation. So,
And what number is that, 12 and?
For all the
All of them.
houses.
Even
So-
five,
so-
we had to push back by the planning board decision.
25, we needed 25 feet.
and it was.
But
at-
our plans do not reflect that change. So
Correct.
unfortunately,
Right, and neither
that
did
should
our
have been,
plans.
so
Our
planning board
plans-
shouldn't have done that
Well, we-
until we came back to then make sure that conservation had the input onto all those changes. And I
And
think
we
that's
didn't
where we got
understand that
stuck
and-
with 5.
Right, and we didn't understand that until the decision was written up, and sometimes it takes a while for the decision to get written up, and that was
An
After-
overlap and oversight on our part.
It was an
after we
oversight
got
on
all,
us.
after we got all our permits, and we actually closed on the property when the decision was written up. So,
Okay.
So
So
do we need
that's-
new sets of plans for pretty much everything?
no, because these 2 lots were the only ones that were really impacted on this
And
right here.
5.
And
Well,
5.
and
5, right, and so I think
Okay,
we've learned,
so
we've
you're-
learned from 5
okay.
that's why, I think on the day, Michael, when we were out there, when we were out there with Amy, we were like, well, planning board made us move that. That was literally the first time I have heard
I
that.
was waiting for you to explain it tonight, too.
So,
I was gonna
yeah,
ask
so no, so
why
that was the first
as soon as
time.
conversation
So if-
happened
if-
that I wasn't
If
there
we look at
for.
the planning board
Yeah.
decision.
That's our oversight for not coming back, or our inexperience too.
Sure.
So we are willing to vacate these 2. and
But
come
can you
over to
build them
these.
anyway? Like,
No.
They
is
don't,
it-
it doesn't, because they already have enough.
So
they're already- they're already
we're-
at
So you
that-
have enough
they're at the number.
frontage.
Right.
No,
Well,
we
you
have
got
enough,
limited on
we
septic
have
system.
more
I'm saying,
lots.
what's being given if they can't build it anyways? That's what I'm trying to
right now
So
understand.
we have
is
more
that, are we
lots
being,
than our septic
Well, like,
capacity
you would
allows
probably
for.
build a bridge.
So we would probably have to go to the planning board and say, we were approved this set of plans
Yeah.
Can we trade
with
out?
an open space concept that doesn't require frontage setbacks, that was maybe
They would have to come back in
unintentionally
front of us
written into
because it's
the.
closer. And
Right,
then
okay.
they would fall under the new wetlands regs.
Yep.
But from the
Okay.
beginning of when we saw this,
We'd have to come back
Right, and
regardless.
from the very beginning, I was like,
I thought lot
this is a marginal
13
lot
was
to
terrible.
begin with anyway,
Okay.
and these lots right here are, more desirable, they're out of the wetlands, they're bigger lots.
So we need to come back to what you want to do on the.
So did I hear it correctly that you would not build 12 and 13, but you might pick up 2 someplace else? I just want to make sure,
Outside
We would
of
only
our
not build on 12 and
jurisdiction.
13, because we would build on 23 and 24.
but you picked up someplace else.
Or 25, 425.
Okay.
I don't
But
know
they're-
why you're promising 12, I think you should just promise 13.
So 12 and 13
Yep.
will be traded for 2
So
of these.
you would have to come in, because it's all those changes, and then you're gonna be under.
But those are
Right,
already.
but those are
already
planned.
approved.
No, so what
um,
what happened is, we were approved for all of this, and we found out
Because it sounds like you probably
that
end
the
up
septic
going with
capacity
an NOI on 5.
Right.
10,000 gallons or less
Depends on the timing of
for this system.
For the
too
whole
many
site.
houses
how
So the
quickly you
whole
want to move lot
subdivision.
5.
Yeah.
So we have more lots,
For a woman's
Then-
living interim.
Right,
More
so this,
lots.
if you have to do a whole new NOI, that
more
would be,
lots than capacity allows to go into the septic.
If we went to
Okay.
12 and 13.
So,
I
So-
would, but I would only have to, I would have to get a variance from the town, from planning board to have the frontage offset, and then I would still build in this footprint if I had to.
Okay,
But
so-
it's not a desirable lot.
okay, so let's back up so that we can have closure for 5. I think that what I'm hearing is that we would be okay to do an amendment on 5 with the decision that you would not build 12 and 13, especially for its proximity, so there would be.
we would
a
trade
give.
to build
We would trade.
12 and 13.
Which
It
are
would
out
be-
of our
Right.
jurisdiction.
Right.
Yep.
So, to move 12 and 13 off the planning board.
And we'll have
In
those
lieu of
loaned and
being able
seeded
to
same
move
time.
Lot 5, and that we recognize that
Can we merge them?
we're
No.
gonna.
Why?
Lot 6.
I don't know, I mean,
Yeah, we'll get to, we still have to go out and look at it.
I don't,
So-
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
I-
let's do.
So are
5.
you okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
Okay, so my proposal would be this evening to to issue an amended order for Lot 5, and we would state the dates that we all talked about, end of June, and recognize that we have to be progressive on the erosion control with that, issue the occupancy permit for that in lieu of the swap for 12 and 13 not being built on, with the understanding that something else would be built outside of our jurisdiction. That would be my motion. Anyone
I'll
want to
second
second that?
I have
Tonight-
one more
Sign off on the occupancy.
question that
Yep,
I'm
sorry.
not sure.
And I think you have some
Wait a minute,
abutters
sorry.
and interested
Yeah,
parties. who
okay.
might have-
Yeah, I was just looking at the photo of the house, and I'd like to hear about the stormwater runoff for the roof and how that's gonna be controlled, because you could.
Well, so,
You
in our,
suggested that you were going to
gullies.
put a dry well in?
no, no.
I'd just like to hear about it.
On all of our stormwater management calculations, the front gets drained to the slope from the front of the house. Half of the roof gets drained towards the front yards. So, and I think that was how that was addressed when we did our calculations for the drainage, so that we didn't put dry wells in.
Were they updated? Did you update your calculations since moving the house, though? Because there's less space and steeper grade.
The grade,
It's
So the
the grade's the
grade is
same,
actually the
it's
same.
still the same elevations in the back.
You just, I'm just thinking about, like, there's less space between the house.
I think you'd be
Yeah.
able to see once it's vegetated as well, so you can keep
Right.
the order of conditions open.
Yeah, they
Sure,
are.
once
Until-
it's,
no,
once
meaning
it's
after-
vegetated,
once it's
but like right
vegetated.
now.
Yeah, but so the
right,
elevation from the
you've got
back of the
gullies
house,
starting back there again.
From the
That's
back
what
of
we,
the
that's what we
house.
talked about.
Concerned
He's
about
gonna
that.
go ahead and put more of
Stump
the
grindings?
stump grindings there
Right.
until
Above
we.
the,
Yeah,
Yeah.
over here, but I
and-
saw gullies, but like back behind the garage area today.
Right.
That's all. If you could take a look.
Yeah,
and
no, I
just
will.
think
I
about the
definitely
roof
will.
runoff with
That-
the
that's
unstable
part of
site.
the
Trying hard to be
amendment.
proactive on
Okay.
this.
Okay. I just
the
wanted
back of
to
the
address
house-
it, make sure it was
Yep.
specifically addressed.
yeah. I mean,
It's a good point. It's a great
The-
point.
And typically on the backs of the houses and around the houses, we put a drip line of stone around it, and that, you know, that
The
stops
season is
some
the
of the.
challenge, because we're going
Yeah.
through the freeze thaw
I think
as
that's
well.
fair,
Okay,
Can I bring up lots 12 and 13 again?
sure.
Now that we've, because we're not gonna build on them, which we're doing, can we merge the lots together and make larger lots there?
That's totally
Leave the
planning
houses
board.
where they
That's
are?
not.
That would be
It's
planning
not-
board.
it's not-
That would be planning
It's
board.
kind of a planning board, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yep.
just wanna make sure that they're not going
Just with
to more
impact.
open space.
One of those is where the cross culvert is, right? Is that?
Yes,
that's what-
14.
yeah, 14.
It's, yeah, cross culvert line is right on the,
Between
right on the
13
lot
and
line.
14.
So,
What's the benefit of merging the lots?
nothing.
Yes, there is.
Well, you
Just
can
to
make a
make the
bigger lot.
buyers
You can make a
Yeah.
bigger lot.
No kidding.
Yeah. And that's a benefit to a buyer.
Okay,
But
but
if you're not gonna
Also,
build
having
on
an
I'm
adjacent
not gonna
lot.
give it to the conservation.
No,
Giving them
I-
60% already.
No,
Right, but you
having
could
an
give
adjacent
them-
lot that's open
So,
space
but
is
let's
just as
just-
good.
But if we're talking about lot 5 and the potential concession was these two lots, I'm just trying to understand why
The
we're
motion.
talking about merging.
Well, no.
Well, I don't
lots and
wanna,
what that
I
has to
mean,
do.
they're gonna be vacant,
with-
and they're always gonna be vacant, and it'll be deeded
Okay.
vacant, but there's no reason that we can't have it be part of 14 and part of 11.
And they would probably be potentially
Okay.
lawn.
But then,
Sorry?
right,
They
but
would
then you're
probably,
looking.
I would imagine they probably
that
potentially be
doesn't, I
lawn.
don't think that,
Depending what
They'd
this
be
one
lawn.
looks like. Yeah.
I think that's just a totally different situation, subject that we should talk about some other.
yeah, that
Yeah.
kind
I
of.
don't,
Yeah. Well,
I don't.
I don't
Okay,
even-
but
I don't
if
make
we're
a
Making an
decision
amendment
tonight.
I don't see how
concession
that- I don't
because
see
of
how that
this
benefits.
offer.
so I don't think that, so by doing, I don't think that, I agree with Carl.
Well, I don't want.
That doesn't benefit anybody.
So,
It does, it's not, they're not being built on, Carl.
Somebody
Okay.
could put a shed out there. Or could do whatever you want out there.
You
It's
need to have a
someone
shed
else's
for
land.
anything greater than 120 square feet.
Somebody
Okay.
else's land,
So-
so they
They
can do
would
whatever
need
they
to come in
want.
for a permit.
Yeah, they would need to come in.
okay, if we can
and
stop
Okay.
for a second. So, are you asking to withdraw?
No. I don't want to.
Okay.
Sounds
So no,
good.
but you understand, so you have two owners here, so, of record. So what I'm asking is, are you asking to withdraw the offer that you gave to us a few minutes ago of 12 and 13 in lieu of us giving you this evening the amended for 5? We'll give you a minute if you guys want to go talk about it.
No, but how are we withdrawing it if we're not gonna build on 12 and 13, Sarah? We're telling you
No,
we're
you-
not
you
going
ju-
to build
you
on
just-
12 and 13.
Yeah, but then you just said in the same breath
You want to make
that
it
you're
part of
gonna
another
merge
lot.
it.
So you,
But it's gonna be grass.
Right, which is not, which is not always great.
There's no gap.
Yeah, okay, we'll
No,
give you,
this is
we'll give you
wrong.
2 minutes.
No, it's not wrong. It's
Okay.
it's what you just said.
If you were
So-
to leave them open, what would you, like, what would it be ideal conservation conditions?
Ideally, I would do like tall grasses for some of the birds and mow it once a year.
Make it beneficial to something other
something-
than short grass with
Or
someone's
you
gonna
could
be
actually do
Pesticides
something
running
proponent for the
across the street into
community
the
and
wetlands.
do
There's swing set
like the
out there.
blueberries and have an area that is actually all about native grasses. I mean,
What
the,
about a community garden?
no, because then we get into the water and all the
That's
use in
gonna be
it,
ag.
yeah, no.
It should be
So-
something that benefits.
You could
The-
do, okay, we
the
can do
open
just like
space.
what we did with the bank. They can put in a whole pollinator, wildflower area. Hey, Janet, you could do all wildflowers, something like that. So what we discussed is that there's a good use for that area, is that you could also let it go to education with wildflowers or something for the kids in the area, so it doesn't have to be an impactful area, but it can help be a benefit, especially to those lots.
So we'd be
that are
giving it
next
to
door.
the town.
Giving it to your association.
Because you'd have to, I mean,
part
somebody
of the
has,
neighborhood.
somebody has to.
Well, can it be a vacated lot that can't be built on?
And then we pay taxes on?
What do you want to do that for?
No, I wouldn't do that, because
I'm-
then that
I'm-
gives
I'm
you,
all done
yeah, but then,
giving
Then
away.
it becomes a place
I'm
people
all
put
done
their
giving
grass
away.
clippings.
But if you gave it to the
Okay.
Becomes a
association,
junkyard.
okay, so I think what I'm hearing is that I'm gonna withdraw my motion, and I would make a motion for a full notice of intent for Lot 5.
Sarah, stop, please.
No, that's, I mean, that's what,
Second.
Well,
that's
come
what,
on.
that's
You
what the
just
commission's
push-
asking.
That's,
I thought that we should just talk about one lot and one lot, so we should talk about Lot 5 and
Yeah, we're not,
potentially.
6 is a whole nother hearing.
No,
no,
I mean,
we're not
like,
talking about lot 6.
I wanted.
Right.
You're
Focus.
asking
focus
us to negotiate and give away 2 lots to the conservation or to the town or to
It was-
education.
We didn't
was-
say that.
it
You
was-
brought, it was your
No,
idea.
we
It
said
was your
we
idea.
wouldn't build.
You brought it up. It wasn't
I
our
did,
idea.
but we weren't
Well,
gonna.
let's keep it straight. It wasn't
I am
our
keeping
idea.
it straight, Carl.
I didn't hear
I
it.
said,
Right.
can I finish, please?
Yeah.
We said we were not gonna build on those lots. We didn't say we were gonna give them away. Said we would not put a house, we will write right down, we will not build on those
Okay.
lots. That's what
And then
we
we- and then
said.
we heard something different.
But having a
No.
house.
No, they were just saying they were gonna merge them, they didn't say they were gonna build.
We
them.
aren't gonna build on them, Carl. What we're going to do is trade 12 and 13 for lots either 23, 24, and 25. Never in your conversation, in all fairness, did you say that we were going to give those lots to conservation,
No.
right?
No, we're not
Okay.
gonna give them the conservation.
Or give it to the town,
No.
or to give it to anybody.
Absolutely
Why
not.
can't we keep those lots as our possession, because we bought it, and say we're not gonna build on them, and be out of the buffer zone, and end the issues of the wetlands?
Because
And-
I heard that you then came up and said that you were going to merge them with the
I
adjacent.
won't merge
lots.
them. We're taking the merger.
Can I see 12 and 13, please?
We are taking the merger option off the table.
And the only reason I said that was,
I just said that
so
for the first
it would be
time.
less of an impact in,
I
you
withdrew
know,
my
as a
motion
trade-off.
anyway, so that's fine. So where's,
12 and 13 are right here.
Well, it's all based on.
Lot 12 is closer than 25 feet to the front right-of-way.
There's some better planting on those 12.
so if you were to merge hypothetically 12 with 11, would the house still stay on 11?
Right where it's approved.
Because you can't go any more towards the left anyway because of the,
Oh, because
Ortiz-
we've got that there anyways.
Right.
But it also makes it, you start encroaching on the 25-foot setback from the road, and then you can't get too close to the 50-foot offset of the no-build zone.
I feel like this is all just negotiation, but a suggestion is let them merge the lots and just say no structures, or just limit the lawn so that you're not having all lawn
Sarah.
on 12.
It's not gonna happen. If you own it,
No,
if you
you-
own a lot, and if you own, it's your property,
Of course
you're
you can,
gonna.
you can do signage, you cannot, that's up to
The sign is probably already shown on here.
They are shown on there, the limit of work's already on
Put
this.
limit of work.
We already have a limit of work.
There is already a limit of work on that as well. I mean, all it's gonna do is create less non-impervious. Yeah.
When you go to build these, you're gonna have to come back in anyways.
Why?
Because you just said you just moved it 25 feet.
No,
No, we
no,
didn't move
no,
anything.
I didn't, no, I didn't say anything. That
Planning board?
The planning board offset requires 25 feet.
And those aren't drawn at 25 feet.
That scale right now, if
So
you,
you're gonna
we
go to the
would,
planning
we
board.
would either have to go to the planning board and get it,
have to get a
I
waiver.
think that's something that you should clear up before you start telling us that you're gonna pull them or not pull them.
I
think you
always-
should really.
I don't
get the
believe that
legal
those are,
aspect.
I don't believe those are,
Good lots.
are
They're
good
not
lots
good
anyway.
lots.
They're
We have
not,
other
No,
options.
I understand, but if
I
they're
always
already
thought-
drawn and approved, it sounds like you may need to have it clarified and have a different drawing. What you're saying is hypothetically all right. It sounds good, but there's nothing that's legally done at this point.
They could submit new plans.
We have,
Not to
I
make
could,
it
I could build
difficult.
that, I would have to go to the planning board and get a
That's right.
variance. That's the only thing I wouldn't have to come to you to get a new order of
So you're not
conditions.
coming any closer, so the house is staying, you're not gonna come any closer?
I can't go any closer than that, because that would, I would start encroaching on the 50-foot, no disturb area.
But until it is legally clarified, I think maybe.
Well, I can't build it any closer than what you have
I
here
know what
anyway.
you- I understand what you're saying, but it's what's drawn here, what was approved by planning board.
Yep.
So why not just get it, the idea is.
Because I don't
fine.
think I even want to build, I don't want to build on those lots. Those aren't desirable lots to begin with.
But
So
it would be clear to
Okay.
everyone.
the only thing I was doing was offering
So we've now spent an hour on one hearing.
Can we go
So
back
if
to
we
your
can
first?
come back to, I've withdrawn my motion, so let's come back to what the discussion is of the three options. An NOI, an amendment, or a field change. So,
So all that discussion we just had is null and void, and we're back to where we started?
correct.
It's all hypothetical until something is
Oh.
done.
but we can still say we will not
put it on
build.
record right now that we are not building those lots, Carl.
And
I think that's a fair thing to do.
So there'd be a deed restriction that says you can't build?
we can't build on it anyway, because there's no,
We've seen it, though. We've seen.
I can't
you
go
know, 5 years
past
later,
from the
there's
10,000
some, the
capacity
planning
anyway.
board merges
We can't-
lots, and then all of a sudden
We
it's
can't go over the
buildable
10,000
again.
capacity of Title V. We're,
Julie has a point, so I mean, address
but
that.
you can't tax the system. It can't take any more per the state regulations. You're an engineer, correct? No?
But you can upgrade the system and
Right.
build 2 more lots.
right, so
We don't have the
Continue.
ability. DEP says a site,
I think
has
your
the
idea of
10,000.
merging
I got-
11 with
Regulations
12 and
change.
13 with
I got a
14.
question for.
that would make
I
it so
think
they could
that-
never be built on,
I
so we
think-
could do
And
that.
it's a
I
nice.
think
it's a
that's
nice-
Let's do
reasonable.
that, Matthew.
let's listen to Mr., what do what?
Let's merge them, 11
I think that.
11 with 12 and 13 with 14.
Right.
I'm fine with that.
Right.
And 14 is Jensen Builders'
What's,
lot.
say just merge
Let's
them?
see
Yeah.
what Keith
Not
has
your
to
lot.
say. Just,
No.
I want to hear what Keith.
Well, then I'll leave it as
So
open
we have
space.
more land.
Yeah, I mean,
But your lots have higher value
A
though.
very
Right.
healthy, interesting discussion, I think. It sounded to me as though there was a deal on the table, maybe half an hour ago, that would have solved all of the issues, and I hope that you can get back there in some fashion. So Sarah's,
Before the merging.
a motion, yeah, her motion to, after Matt and Mike took 12 and 13 off the table, and the suggestion was that 5 be allowed to proceed with a certificate of occupancy. Mindful of that change, that sounded like you had, and it sounded like you
If they merge,
talked
that means
yourselves
it's a
into it.
legal
I'm sorry if you managed to talk yourselves out of it, but I hope you can get back there.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, so I guess if 13 and 14 merge and 12 and 11
I don't
merge.
think that wasn't what
That wasn't
he's
the
saying.
initial.
That's not what Keith is
If-
saying.
But that also makes it so they can't be built on ever.
Keith is before that discussion.
No, are you talking about the merger?
I thought that
No.
was the.
Before the.
He's
just saying
I thought that was part of the.
That's wrong, Matt.
Before the notion of merger came up.
I might be
there was an
misunderstanding the
absolute
point.
Offer to not build on two numbered lots. And that with that, that was enough to have a motion to let you go ahead with number 5.
Right.
And
that
Right.
seemed-
But I'm hearing that it's for now, not, like, what is,
well, if we do merge them, like
Yeah.
you say, it
Yeah,
makes it
it's
so
a
they can never be
discussion
built
that we
on.
would have to come talk, right? So there's an order of conditions, whether they're built on or added or whatever, for 12 and 13. They have their own specific order of conditions. So it's future discussions that we need to have with them about what we do with them, even though they're not built on, if we touch them, right? If we do anything to them,
We still have an order
We
of
have an
conditions,
approved order of conditions.
right?
but we still have to finish, the limit of work from the edge of wetlands back from the
Right.
sewer
My
main.
point is that they have security and safety, knowing that we're not going to, I don't know, put the neighborhood shed on there or something without discussion and planning with you, because you have an open order of conditions on the property.
Yeah, that doesn't hold much water,
No.
especially when somebody builds closer to the wetlands. So, I mean,
Well, I would argue you still have the benefit of those lots, if you kept them separate and not merge them. It would still be a benefit to the neighboring lot to have these even if they're separate, if they're not built on,
vacant
if they're
space.
committed to be not built on.
Well,
That's
if
why
they-
I'm worried about
But
merging.
then
Either if they're merged,
they're
if they're
on
merged
his
or not,
tax roll, his
if they,
tax rolls.
right, if they're merged or not,
Yeah.
right.
That's gotta be
If they're
clarified.
merged, then we don't own them anyway, so if they get deeded to the association, then they're not gonna be part of it. It's either way, they're not gonna get built on. If they're merged, they're not getting built on,
And you
right?
don't-
Correct.
I think the
You don't
other
have
way,
to-
if they're deeded to the association, someone's guaranteed they wouldn't be built on.
Right, and then they don't have to pay taxes on them.
But the homeowners do, and you're increasing homeowners' costs.
I think,
It'd be
yeah.
land of low
Let's-
value,
If you
right?
merged it to-
Somehow, we've got to get beyond this
So leave
for
them two separate lots.
clarification tonight,
Just leave them two separate lots.
in writing, what you
That's how
propose.
Keith
And
said
what's,
it.
Yeah.
it's
That's
agreed
where we were
upon
when we
in
first
planning
started.
board and everything.
And you can
Right
deem them
now, we need to come up
non-buildable, and then the
either with an
taxes.
amended order of conditions
$1,000.
Yeah.
to
Deed-
get
deed-
I know what's
lot
going on, too many
5.
people are talking.
Yeah, deed them as unbuildable, and then the tax roll's low anyways.
If they're gonna get merged anyway, they're not gonna get built on
Well,
anyway.
I don't
Sarah's got a
think
point.
she's not
Sarah's
talking
absolutely
about-
right.
she's
If
not
they
talking
deed
about
them,
Not writing?
if they're deeded non-buildable,
It's recorded.
and we own them non-buildable,
taxes
they're
are low.
land of low value and they can't be built on.
And you can use them for the betterment of,
We have that at our home. We have it's like $90 a year for the taxes.
I'm fine with doing that, and I'll put that in writing right now. Deed them, go right to the assessor's office and
So they
unbuildable.
would be held by you guys?
Yes.
Or the association. Well, I don't know.
That's
do I
what
know?
I'm unclear about exactly
I-
what
I'm
you
gonna-
two
Well,
want to
I
do
don't wanna-
for
I mean,
sure.
I
if
don't want
they-
to increase the cost of the homeowners association. We'll put them as unbuildable to us, and we'll pay the taxes on them.
That's fine.
Or talk to our lawyers about it, talk to the homeowner association about it, if they're unbuildable, they're unbuildable. That's what's
Yeah.
important, right?
Right.
Yeah,
who
but
holds the title
I
of
think
the-
trying to make.
Maybe the adjacent
fine with
butter
it.
can buy it.
Decision tonight is maybe.
Yeah, well, I mean, we should ask our attorney and, maybe sit down with the homeowners association.
What you're
people.
saying, I don't disagree with, but I just want to see it legally done in writings.
Let's put the words on paper here, so we're on record
think-
with that now, so we can move
but
forward
we don't
on-
want to see it as a full-out area that's going to be highly manicured, mowed, lots of water going on it. Then it kind of defeats the purpose of what
Runoff
what
to
we're
the
talking
wetlands.
about. So when you guys were out in the hall discussing, a lot of good opportunities were put apart, like different wildflowers or something that there's a betterment for that community. It doesn't have to be a high-traffic, high-volume area.
It's a steep slope anyway, so it's not gonna be, the slope's
I mean,
probably 10% anyway.
I'm very fine with putting wildflowers on there for you.
I'm just
The
saying.
thing-
I'm
the-
I'm
the-
really
the-
fine with
the slope-
having it be a
the slope-
deeded
the
land
slopes
of
that
low
we
We just
value.
want to make
hydroseeded
sure it's
are-
not a place that's going to be a dumping ground.
It's got the
So someone has to.
state mix on it
take
anyway,
care
so-
of
We'll
it.
have signs on it, Sarah.
There is signs on it already. There's location for signs on that already.
Yeah.
All right, let's move forward.
Basically, we need to get by lot 5 right this minute. You've got good suggestions, but I want to see it all in writing
We can go with that also
before
before
I approve it.
potential submittal for lot
Yes.
5.
Yes.
You want us to put this
Wait a
all in
minute, what did
writing
you just
before we
say?
sign off on the building card for lot 5
I'm
now?
not
Wait a minute,
saying
wait,
that.
wait. Amy, what did you just say?
We still have an open order of conditions. They're going to be open until June 5th.
But you still need to resolve lot 5,
That's what I'm trying to do.
whether it's an amended or just a
I
field
recognize
change.
that, right.
And if it's a new submission or an amended submission, this would all be part of that.
Mhm. But that's what we're trying to determine based on value, which it's going to be. I think we're all in agreement that it's not going to be a field change. We have to determine whether it's a notice of intent or if it's an amendment. And I think what we're hearing is that if it's an amendment, there needs ultimately to be something that's going to help what has obviously been changed on the lot. So,
I think that having 11 or 14 feet, whatever, closer, and giving up a whole building lot is a great.
Two building lots.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think you're making a decision tonight that you haven't talked to planning board, talked to your lawyer, attorney, and resolve it. Just
okay, but if they're willing,
We're willing.
They're-
We're
they're
responsible
educated
adults
people, if
and we're
they're
ready.
willing to go forward with that, they can figure all that out.
It is
Okay,
something that
we
we've
can
talked
vote.
about before.
Right, this
Okay,
is,
not
you
new.
can make a motion.
hold on,
to put this-
Amy, what do you?
You guys should also consider if any other houses are going to have issues. Lot 6 moved into the 50-foot from the as-built you sent. So
No.
you want to make sure lot 6 gets in on this credit, and if there's any other lots that.
Yeah, we want
Need to
to
be
have the same
considered.
consideration for lot 6 that we're having for 5.
And
If you
that
look
one
at lot
is-
6, it's
Amy, it moved?
by 1 foot. But it's
No.
a smaller footprint.
Lot 6, the deck is into the 50-foot.
Yeah, I was here 2 months ago when you voted one on Newtown Hill. It was a deck that was way closer.
That was
Right, but when
The
you
actual-
look at, if you want to get into that, that's a
No,
whole
no,
nother
no,
story,
no.
man. You don't want to do
No,
that.
no.
Oh,
wanna
let's
do
go.
that.
Let's go to lot.
I'm about ready to end this hearing, so.
There, we can go to lots.
Been
I
an
There,
would really
hour
like to
and
get
10
this lady
minutes
in her
on
house, but
something.
like,
So we want to have
let's try
just
to
the same
figure.
consideration
just-
for lot 6 with giving up two building lots that way.
lots 12 and 13 had the decks inside the 50-foot buffer on those ones. The houses were outside it,
I think that.
so
Yes.
I think we need to stay focused right now on lot 5 and stop dragging all these other
Yes.
lots into it. So let's talk about lot 5. They're reasonable people, it's a board. They understand that when we talk to them about lot 6 in next 2 weeks or whatever your next
We've all been
meeting
out
is.
on site, so we know
Right.
what 6 looks like.
Right,
We
so
know
we'll-
that 5
they're
and
gonna-
6.
They're not gonna forget that we already gave up lots 12 and 13 when we go to talk about 6,
okay. So let's
right?
just
So-
keep going on.
Either that or incorporate it into our motion that they
No,
potentially.
no,
do.
because this
Discussion
this
that we
has
need
to
to have.
be
Let's-
posted. That has
Yep.
to be posted, so.
Yeah, I'm
I
thank you for your
recognize
consideration.
there's a handshake there, and we'll deal with that with 6, but we can't discuss 6 because it's not posted,
Right.
so.
Do you want to see if anybody out there has any?
Yes, anybody have any comments?
We'll wrap it up. There you go.
I'm here to talk about invasive plants at some point, and I think leaving these two lots in a situation where there's an owner that's going to be able to take care of them in perpetuity
Yep,
is important.
thank you.
Otherwise, it's going to be.
That pricker bush is all the way out.
Bittersweet and knotweed.
We do have a tree
Oh, yeah.
strangulation problem.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's not.
I'm inclined to think that
unbelievable.
going,
Yeah.
connecting them to the
everywhere.
homeowners will probably take better care of them than you will 10 years from now, or 20 years, or 30 years from now.
Yeah, so to put it with the homeowners association. Okay.
I was thinking
So,
of the homeowners
Okay.
themselves.
Chuck, do you have anything that you want to add?
Just real quickly, Chuck DeCoste, 609 Newtown Road. I came out as a member of the Board of Selectmen and just to, mostly to advocate for the buyer. And that's who's really, I don't use the word punished, getting punished here, but I appreciate all the time that you guys have spent on this, and I appreciate you working towards an end. And if there is any way to do, whether it's a field change or whatever the most expeditious end is in order for the buyer to be able to execute on purchase and sale and then close on this property, that's all I would advise that the commission would do.
Okay, thank you. So, as a commission, any members want to make any motions? Or do we want to have clarity of what's being proposed first?
I think we need to leave that alone until, just do 5. You
That's,
either gonna-
we're only
Okay.
talking about 5, but you can talk about the negotiation of 5 and the offer if it is on the table.
The offer is on the table.
Okay, so do
We
you
are
want to just
willing
spell
to-
it out? You want to spell
Yes.
it out to Amy so
For
she can
5.
write it down? For
We're
5.
willing to, you ready?
Yeah, sure. That's-
We're willing to
I'm happy, I'll put it
record
together
with the
with 6,
town,
it's fine.
land of low value, non-buildable, held in field development.
Well, not-
Or
we don't know how
the
it's-
association. Either,
Or the
To be
association.
determined.
or the association.
No, I'm still back on land of low value.
Yeah.
Get to listen faster.
Yeah,
Or
I
let,
can't
or
remember
let
it's
Chuck
long.
take the notes for you.
It's gonna be recorded anyway, so we can get it.
Land of low value,
Held by field.
did you say non-buildable or?
Non-buildable. That's the way they're recorded in the
Okay, that's
assessor's
what-
office.
yeah.
Land of low value, non-buildable, held in ownership of field development
Or,
or
Hmm.
the homeowners association.
You don't wanna-
For lots
it's
12 and
his
13.
motion. We're not, no discussion.
We're giving,
So.
take.
Okay, so now if a commission member would like
you
to
sign it?
make a motion
I think it's just gonna be
with,
in the notes, right?
with that, that's fine. No, you don't need to sign it. It's, you're on.
So with that deal, I'll make a motion that the board consider this an amended order of conditions, not a full NOI, and that we issue an occupancy permit for Lot 5.
And issue new orders that talk about the plantings, June 30th, and other things that were discussed this evening.
And
New orders
with
for
a-
the empty lots? Or for
No,
the
no,
non-
no, for the plantings, no, for the plantings, so,
And we do have the updated set of plans.
we do, yeah, we do.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
We have the
Is there any
dates.
further
We
discussion?
have all the dates and the key
So-
dates
Yeah,
when
the
the.
key-
Just so everyone understands, this is a whole
June 30th, I think.
new abutter notification, the whole 9 yards.
But we're able to sign that tonight,
Yes.
yeah.
Right, and stormwater, attention to stormwater
Right.
control, or
Yeah.
if need be.
The what?
Additional stormwater control if need be.
So Amy,
Off
we'll
from the
look
roof.
at
Yeah.
what was
You never
in the
really
original
did.
order for how many years
Well,
for
no,
those
we did.
You
plantings.
did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we may extend that,
Yeah,
if it's
we
1
did.
year, we may go to 2, if
I
it's
think
2
it
to
was
3.
2 years, Sarah.
So most of the ones we're doing, we're starting at 3. So it just means that we reevaluate on the 3rd year of what's dead to replace it.
Okay.
So, especially with the shade. So we have a motion and a second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you very much for, as Mr. Bergman
So
put it, a
number
healthy
6
discussion.
will get posted as an official hearing.
This
So,
is actually how.
You're gonna give it to
Mr.
you?
DeCoste
I'm gonna
conducts
put it back
a
on Shelley's desk.
Selectmen's meeting that they talk through, and at the end, they reach a consensus.
It's not
Takes-
gonna
takes
make
some
the final.
time.
Now, would you like to talk to Laura?
sure. Yeah.
Laura?
What?
Come on up.
Oh,
So-
newspaper? I think Amy was just saying newspaper.
As we clean up the.
But it's not gonna be on the next agenda.
day or two.
Hi,
Hi.
welcome.
So I want to tell you that my background, I studied botany in college and geology.
good.
I was an environmental
You're
science
gonna love the
major.
blueberry plant.
I know, I'm so excited, I had no idea.
She might be able to take over lots 12 and 13.
Seriously,
To build a lovely
my
garden over
10-year-old
there.
wants to be an ecologist.
Nice, okay.
So, I'll definitely be a good steward of this, I'm really excited.
Excellent. Well, we welcome you to the area. You have a beautiful home.
Thank you.
That's good.
I'm really excited.
Okay.
Thank you for the,
Thank you for
the
your
heart
patience.
attack tonight, but you know.
Oh.
But I'm
It's
glad that you're
nothing that
here
your
to protect
builders don't do
everything.
all the time.
I guess we
really
just wanted
Did you like
to.
the bench going in the door?
I really did, yeah. And now, you know, if you guys, when I heard that you guys were gonna be extending those lots potentially, I'm like, well, wait a second. No, I'm just joking. We will,
You have a better view.
I
Out
know,
the back.
it's
Yeah.
lovely, so thank you very
Okay.
much, I really
Great.
appreciate
Since
it.
you're sitting here, we just
Yeah.
need
Thank
to reinforce how sensitive the area is at Toa Slope.
Certainly,
House sits above, and you realize all the issues
yeah,
that these guys have been through
yeah.
because of that.
Now.
So if you see
Should just
any
be-
type,
yeah.
if you see any type of gullying going on or anything like that, it's just a start of trouble back there. So you
Okay.
have to make sure that you keep an eye on that slope.
And just it sooner versus later, so.
Of course.
You don't need to come back to us to.
Are you sure?
No, if you've got to put more loam down or seed down, that's fine.
Yeah,
He's
no,
gonna
I'm-
have,
You got
it's
that?
his certificate of
It's a lot of
compliance anyways.
fines in the
so.
native soil. It was like liquefaction out there stepping.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Excellent. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You give that back to me.
I'll take whatever you got lying around.
That's 6.
This rear lot, this one?
Is it just one page or? one
No,
there?
here.
No.
No,
This is by itself?
Oh my God, my head's gonna explode. Such a headache. All right, can we, let's do Cloverdale, because I'm leaving soon.
Sarah, Jim had to go pick up his wife. He's gonna come back. I don't know if you wanna cover something else.
Okay, well, I wanted to be here for the discussion, but I'm not staying that much longer. so.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, thank God.
I think
Do you
you
want
gotta
to
just go
continue
with
the
it.
Yeah, so
hearing?
why don't you come up? Yeah. I'm confident you can answer some questions. So let's back up from the last meeting. We've all been on site. We've walked through the potential areas. Some of us tried to cross the crossing unsuccessfully.
Oh.
We saw a beautiful
Yeah, broke
sunset,
through.
but I think it was a good perspective to be able to go out and physically walk under those conditions to see where the water flows. I think it was really helpful to go and walk through there. I just have one question, or a question and a concern. And I mentioned this on the day when we had the walk, is that I want to make sure I'm in support of the project. However, I'm concerned that it's on the highway, and to make sure that we are going to be able to get a curb cut through Mass Dot. I know we've got the historic aspect that there's always been a way to get in and out, but this is a unique opportunity, and I would hate to see us build out trails that potentially may not have supported access by Mass DOT. So,
I think your selectman maybe would be the one who would have to support that.
no, that's Mass DOT.
I know, but it's gotta come from the selectman, I
We
believe.
have to request it. If we want
Yeah.
the curb cut, it goes through highway, which is
Right.
through us.
Right.
Okay,
That's
so do we
something
need to get on the
selectman would be in
selectmen's
favor
schedule
of.
then?
Okay. I know you're only one.
We would probably
I
need,
can speak with 20% of the board.
So I don't want to hold anything up, but I just wanted it to be heard that that's my only concern with this. I think it's a beautiful property. I think it has a lot of potential. My other question is that where we're bringing it back to field areas, that once the hummocks are removed, I would like to see the tall grasses like we do up on Newtown Hill with the annual mowing after the nesting period, so that we can kind of go back for the birds, I think is really what we're looking for.
I think you're
Yeah,
worried
it's good
too much
habitat.
about the birds.
There's
from what I
literally
see.
no birds when we were there.
Well,
Well, actually, there's tons of birds. It's great.
Yeah, when we were there. So I just think the
You're trying to get it in
grasses.
grasses, right?
Right.
Obviously.
What's that?
You're
Yeah.
trying to get it in grasses. That's your ultimate goal.
Yeah, and we actually had some long,
Yeah,
tall
You'll
grasses.
get some birds
Yeah,
nesting in
and then
there.
they talked about nesting boxes.
It's big
So-
enough property.
Just one of the things, and I don't think it would be affected by that, but
Deal with them
our
on a
control
daily
of the.
basis.
Exactly, our control of the invasives is basically by
Probably running
mowing.
over on your tracks.
That's the only way. So I'm not sure what's gonna come up in
oh,
the
that's true,
first.
there's a lot coming up through there. There's a ton.
Oh,
coming
no,
up.
this is an ongoing thing that's gonna be going on for a
Yep.
long time. It's understood.
It'll
And
take a
then-
while to get those invasives knocked down,
And then
for sure.
the plan for the slash piles,
gonna
I
get
think
removed.
those are getting removed.
Yeah.
Those
to,
are gonna be,
like,
those are gonna be
burn.
burned. I've actually notified most of the abutters
In
that we
writing?
will be, some of it was emailed, where they given me their emails, otherwise a
Should
lot
we-
of it was.
We should do
It's
it.
not required, but
Yeah,
last
but
time before, Chase had asked that you at least notify the abutters so they know.
That's gonna be, you have to have snow cover
Yeah.
anyways, so if you could just pull the cards for that.
It's
For-
It's
You
January
have
through
snow
May.
cover in a couple days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
Right.
sure we need snow
But I
cover,
mean,
but we
that's
need
gonna be a lot
wetness,
of-
but definitely.
okay. I'm just. That's
So
gonna be
abutters within
lot of
100?
I thought the burning was just an official time, between January and May.
It generally is. I think we could stretch it.
Like you're pushing your-
Farmers can do it anytime.
Yeah, but you're not a farmer.
No.
Talk to the fire
So
department.
why not just get it done?
Conservation, I think.
No.
Okay. So.
Yeah, so back to the abutters.
Yeah.
Leaving a message on their phone is not enough.
No, I would do something
Yeah, I think-
more official.
I can leave, I can, what we decided was that we could do it at the beginning of the burn season, just saying that we will be burning within the next couple of months. And if you smell smoke, it's basically probably coming from us, and I will
I'm just thinking those are
compose
gonna be
such a
big
letter. I mean,
fires.
the
based on the-
email works, but if people hadn't given me, I do have addresses.
You should post it in Appleton or in that clubhouse.
Right.
So, like that the people
It's
know,
not a bad idea.
up on the ridge.
I haven't seen that.
Get it to them. Just get it posted somewhere.
I didn't even know they had a clubhouse.
Well, I mean, there's some, no, not clubhouse,
Or
but
what
the
about a reverse
kiosk there.
911? You do the reverse
No.
911 calls with the.
But the whole town
I get them
now?
all the time for, no, not the whole town, they can target it. I get it for
Yeah.
Patriots,
not a bad idea.
wastewater smell, I get it for school stuff. I know not everybody
Maybe
gets that.
when you,
Oh.
when you talk to Chuck about the road to do.
Oh, it's already paid.
as-
Oh, if it's already paid for. I've just,
But-
we've heard, concerns about abutters being notified of activities, so I just want to make sure we're, being respectful of them, especially if we're going to have, a bunch of smoke for,
So just-
probably
just
hours to
send out-
burn.
Send out a letter to
Burn
have it
that down.
certified to the abutters. The same ones who got the order conditions, or notice of intent, basically.
I think that's fine.
So that'd be within 100 feet.
Yep.
Actually, it'd be
Did you
more.
say not certified?
I don't think we need to certify it.
Yeah, certified automatically. It'd
Yeah, I
actually be
mean,
more,
it's a-
more abutters, because some of those piles are.
It's a courtesy, not a requirement.
Exactly.
But I do think,
Yep.
people need to know.
That's fine. In terms of the curb cut, that may already be taken care of. There's been discussions with the highway department and possibly.
Well, I think Chuck's
I'll
frowning.
check,
o-
definitely.
Chuck's frowning.
Do we need to
over
get
there
on
like
the
he doesn't
selectmen?
want-
I'll definitely check. I mean,
Schedule? No?
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
okay.
So there's a curb cut for a parking lot?
Right.
Boy, you
Yeah.
need something to get people off the road. There's too much traffic.
I like the idea of a right lane only turn as well. That was mentioned, as you're coming out, so people aren't cutting left, but they have to go right.
Which they could ignore.
I'm not-
That's gonna be with the DOT.
Yeah, that's not.
Because that's a state law road.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
DOT's gonna require something, they can,
Let them
left
require
turn,
it.
right turn in only, or right turn out, whatever they.
And let them require it.
I don't think we're gonna have.
Wait a minute, Chuck?
Chuck goes 609 Newtown Road, so where's the curb? That's a real dangerous intersection, which has gotten exacerbated by 15 Gray Road going in. It's, people go all the way through Bristol and come out the other end.
Oh, I've seen
This
that.
is, this
So-
is, this is very, very far away from
There's a
either,
terrible accident
either
there.
entrance to.
Yeah. Chuck, it's in a
Where?
level spot,
Right
so it's
up-
not a
right up,
blind
is that
spot.
after our accident
So
here?
that's,
meaning here.
Well, it must be
And it-
putting
it-
it from across from
it's,
the hospital.
it's right across from where the gate is for Larkspur,
Okay.
and there is a historic
Yeah.
cut anyways from when it was ag. So that
So
road
it's
cut.
closest to that last residential property.
It's well away.
Yeah,
from
the
any
gray
other-
house.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, across from
The gray house.
Yes, you know where the horse
The
farm
horse
is?
farm?
So, down by the horse farm.
In Newbury?
And
So it's
so-
away from the intersections. a lot.
Larkspur?
And it's a straight road, so you've got good visibility both directions coming up.
That's 50 miles per hour.
Right.
Yeah.
It is fast, I
I
know.
do have some concerns
Yep, so,
about the town
Yep.
putting a curb cut in to, people aren't gonna.
Well, you're,
There already is a curb cut.
But you're
They can pull right in
accessing-
there.
It's,
recreation land.
Yeah, but you're encouraging people to use it.
Parkland.
No,
So that's
true.
why there should be a small parking lot for more than 7 cars.
there will be.
Yeah.
There is, I mean, it's,
Yeah, but I'm just saying, that's,
Yeah.
Just want
so
7
people
cars.
can get off the
People
road.
can- People can hike to it, or people can park in the neighborhood, or,
yep.
I'm not crazy about vehicles entering and exiting onto 119.
Well, they do it all the way along there. I don't disagree with you, but they do
Need
it
to
all the way
stop building
along.
houses here if that's a good
I mean, you got daycare
like
center up the
A
road.
lot of people.
Well, the Oak
There's
Meadow,
a lot more
the beauty of
traffic
it is that
the
the
last
Oak Meadow
couple
kids will
years.
come over and use that land as well.
they do
So
use,
from
they do
a,
use.
Yeah,
from a
Oak
cultural
Meadow.
standpoint, so,
And they should be crosswalk.
Yeah.
So you'd have to have a crosswalk put in there.
Yeah.
The town should be their smart streets, whatever it is, yeah.
might be nice, it might be nice.
So it seems like.
I need a sidewalk too. That's a novel idea.
I thought that was supposed to happen. I thought, no, seriously, I
No,
thought it was
from,
supposed
from
to
Apple
happen.
Dior, there was years ago talk about it. Okay, what do we need?
We need to speak.
We're not, we will.
Okay, it just looked like you were kind of wrapping it up.
No, I was gonna entertain comments from the commissioners.
Oh, okay.
We got the DEP file number, and they had a couple comments. They said that a 401 water quality cert would be required if wetland replication is not provided for the areas of wetland filling. So Rick and I discussed it, there's plenty of areas to provide wetland replication, especially that berm
Especially where-
when you go down.
Yep.
Because we might be able to combine it with taking out a bit of that berm, so it can be a level access to the
ADA,
Yeah,
so we should
ADA.
go over
and
that.
just make it a little bit bigger for wetland mitigation. So we'll have to come up with a plan for that. So I think you probably want to see that before you close anything anyway. They wanted confirmation if the commission was concerned about whether the HDPE pipe is strong enough to support the weight of the boardwalk. And I didn't get a chance to chase that down today, but obviously, this is a common use for boardwalks. I just need to check with some engineers, or I know Acton has a bunch of
Let's
these.
see what your load is on that lumber.
I was,
Actually, Jim had
one of
done
my
some-
questions was about whether they would sink, like, into the muck.
Yeah.
You know, and how to, like, from an engineering standpoint, what needs to be done. So I think, you know, we need
Is it
some
gonna be
input.
like a turnbuckle section, so as one rises and one doesn't, they're able to float a little bit?
I think the sections are gonna be tied together, just
Stability.
for security, I mean, just for
Well, they're-
people riding bicycles on them and things like that.
Okay.
So it's not gonna be, it's gonna be quite
Buckling.
firm. Yeah.
To me,
The
they're
drop
handicap
bridge.
accessible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with a kick rail on the side.
You can't get to it, but they will be handicap accessible.
Well, but if we use it,
Right.
if we get rid of
But
that
if we-
berm.
if
Which is what
can
they
do
require,
that-
so
Yeah.
if you ever want to make it
I mean, I
fully
think-
accessible from a parking lot, you
Yeah.
know, the boardwalk's all set.
Yeah.
We may be doing it, just.
No, I think you could do it.
Yep.
Well, that would be a good boardwalk to
Oh, be
focus on ADA.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
And really do it right.
Oh, yeah.
If you really.
You gotta be able to park in it though.
Yeah.
But,
Nice flat piece of land, that'd be great.
Mhm.
they wanted to, concern about whether or not it meets the Massachusetts stream crossing standards, and I did analysis, if you wanna see it, it clearly does. Basically, there's 6 standards, the type of crossing, and of the 6 standards, this project is the optimum type of each one. It's a full span, embedment, which they really consider for a culvert. At the stream crossing, there's no embedment issue, because it's a span. It is gonna be more than 1.2 times the bank full width, because the stream that's buried in there somewhere is maybe 2 feet, and the spans are,
Walked theirs and it seemed quite secure.
How long
It's
has
been
theirs
for a
been
while.
implemented?
Several years.
where is this?
Where in Stowe?
I think it's Stowe.
The one in Acton has been up for a long time,
Okay. good.
in
Yeah.
Magog, not Magog Woods, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Constructed the same way.
This side of Camp Acton,
Constructed
Oh,
the
the
same
narrow.
way.
yeah, on the
Is there
east.
one we can
They
go
ha-
see?
They have, Acton has several that are constructed on the culverts,
Mhm.
using the pipe as a foundation, basically.
If you
Can
think
you
of
maybe
them,
send a
can you
little
'em?
email of like where some of those locations are?
Yes, and I meant to
Yeah,
call
like
Tom
later.
Tippin over there today, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, that's fine.
That'd be good to see.
So I think we'd like to see that.
Because they have
Yeah.
experience too of how long it lasts.
Yep.
I think all the ones I'm thinking about are in wooded areas, so, you know, it's not sinking. But it's a different substrate than we're dealing with, so.
Yeah.
I'll see what they know. Is one in Stowe wooded or open? Can you picture?
Similar to ours, I think. It's running through a wetland.
But do we know what the substrate is? Like, has anyone looked at the
Yeah, a lot of that.
wetland soils?
It's a
A lot
serious
of that
grass.
area, Cloverdale.
Serious, well, yeah, I saw the
was
grassy
all-
hummocks.
Was all pushed up,
Okay.
and town stopped them from selling the loan. That's how the farm pond
That's how
got
that's
created.
Oh, interesting, okay.
But the actual land that is currently Cattail Marsh.
Yep.
Was agricultural land, so it's fairly solid.
Got it, okay.
A little rocky, but.
Okay. But not, feet of muck.
Exactly.
That's basically what I'm trying to get at.
It's not muck at all. I mean, it was, the beavers came in a while ago.
Okay.
That's what created the wetland.
Except for when it's wet, you can walk across it without
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
sinking the organics.
Right.
Yeah,
into it.
yeah, I did notice that. It
I
broke through
would
the
like
ice
to
a
ask
couple
the
times.
audience what their comments are.
Speak from here, or was that me come up?
If you'd
Yeah,
like to come up.
Come on up.
We do bite occasionally.
But they're getting tired, so.
Yeah.
I'm glad I don't pay for babysitters anymore.
Yes. Rhodey Adama, 5 Old Farm Road.
Maureen Adama, 5 Old Farm Road.
All right. We're here tonight because it's a high priority that this property be done in the best condition it can be. It is really necessary for this parcel to include all of the town of Littleton, to restore to the parcel that all of Littleton can be proud of. Although we know that there has already been $40,000 in CP funds given to this parcel, before any more work can be done, a feasibility study should take place. There were many questions raised at the last meeting we attended on January 22nd of this year, and also questions we've heard this evening. A feasibility study would answer some of these concerns and questions. And it should be done with the whole town involved, including the planning board, FinCom, building department, board of selectmen, and ADA, ADA requirements. A lot of this is so it won't prolong the mess that we've lived with as a butter to the property for the last 1.5 years that this was planned. It should be emphasized, if it is going to be done, it has to be done correctly, compliant with all regulatory requirements, on schedule with the start and finish date, the same level of standards that is applied to all applicants before the commission. Due to the research that we did discover through Littleton Lumber, the quoted supplier from the last meeting, that they do not have all the materials as was indicated in the application. Additionally, the costs are actually 21% higher than what's in the application. I also called the tax collector here in town, Deb, who referred me to the Human Resource Director, Ann. She confirmed that the Senior Citizens Tax Work-Off Program cannot be used for both the tax write-off hours as billable hours and billable hours for this grant. Basically, it's double dipping, and it's fraudulent. But again, the town should not be using volunteers as it puts the town in great liability. We spoke with a friend who is a building commissioner who would not allow a boardwalk to be built on town property by volunteers unless they are insured and licensed. So I don't want to rehash, what the commissioners have already reviewed in the past, but I do want to point out that not one person that wrote a letter of recommendation was an abutter. Mrs. Payne indicated she's almost a butter, but her address is not in the letter, so we don't know exactly. Her letter emphasized that she wants a safe place for seniors to safely walk. State ADA regulations need to be adhered to via construction control and possibly planning board or state oversight. The supporting letters that were included with the grant application did not include anyone from Master Plan, Park and Rec, Board of Selectmen, or the Historic Commission. Again, this is just not for one group of citizens of Littleton, but for the whole town. And the project has not really been inclusive of the whole town. Evidence, which is the absence of letters of support from Master Plan, Park and Rec, Historic Commission, Board of Selectmen. We rewatched the meeting and were encouraged by the questions that you and concerns of the application, such as parking, signage, start of the job and finish, and as was discussed tonight, as far as the access to the property, the 50 miles per hour. A lot of what we've heard is that build it and they will come. Well, the concern that we have is that it's really accessible. The only way to access it is at a 50 mile per hour spot on the road. In full transparency, we're looking into the spending of the $40,000 spent by the CPC in fiscal 2015 because it appears the job was not completed. It hasn't been completed yet. I received a copy of the bid today. Thank you, Amy.
Yeah, thank you.
But have not had a chance to really review it completely. During our research, the commission became aware of improper burying of tree stumps on the property. This is concerning because the overseers of the parcel have not changed, which concerns us with any continuing work done by these individuals. As an abutter, we have a vested interest, not just because we're citizens of Littleton, but we are also a direct abutter. So far, it has been a detriment to the town, our property, other butters' properties, the wildlife, and vegetation. Being in a butter, we foremost want this property to be the premier property as it has been presented. And I'm just getting close. Lastly, it is not a Littleton Trust Littleton Trust parcel. It is the town's parcel with the dedication being conservation. Littleton Trust has in print, online, website, newsletters, false statements including boardwalks and stating boardwalks are coming. That hasn't been approved yet. Again, be it understood, they are not applicants. They should cease misleading the public that this is a Littleton Trust property. I understand that you have the authority to assign land storage from Littleton Trust or wherever, but we think this has not been a positive outcome for this parcel. This issue is bigger than the plastic white chairs that have left out there as if it were someone's own property. We are hopeful that this parcel can be made into something the town can be proud of by more oversight by this commission and complete town participation on any ideas or proposals for the property.
Well, to begin with, most and a lot of the stuff that gets done on the conservation land is done by volunteers. It's the only way it would get done. There's no funding to do anything different.
Yeah, the maintenance.
Especially the Boy Scouts also.
So we use a lot of whatever help we can get.
But this is bigger in the sense that it's going to be a trail, and it's a proposal for a property that is town-owned, and clearly there hasn't been any dialogue with, the other boards.
And initially, it was supposed to be a playing field.
We understand that when we purchased our
put-
property, yeah.
And it was a trade that
Yeah.
got traded with some property out in back of the middle school.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we brought that up last week.
Yeah.
I had already known that.
but
we, as we said, we think that it's been kind of done in a vacuum, and we feel that we are very concerned. The mentality that, the grant was pursued prior to even getting permission from you, even having, even sending out the notices without, a DEP number. We really do feel things have been done in a vacuum. There's two individuals that have treated this property as if it's their own. Research we did this past weekend demonstrating the fact that this was, there was damage to the property, and that's straight from your minutes. It's a great concern. But in addition to that, you all can do the same thing that, Rhodey did as far as, contacting Littleton Lumber. And the $8,000 is not going to cover this job. And using volunteer work might be a big detriment to not being what this property actually needs.
The commission has a good history of building boardwalks in partnership with the trust. You certainly bring up some great points, and certainly appreciate that. I think commissioners definitely have their concerns. I think with this property, because it had some challenges, that we are seeking higher transparency. And so I think that's why we've continued to have these hearings, and I think that's why we're continuing the work. Nothing will be decided tonight, obviously, especially with the involvement needed with the selectmen in terms of the curve as well.
Okay, great.
So, it's a discussion that we'll carry on for sure.
I think my biggest concern is we can't get a curb cut there. The issue is dead.
Right.
Because you won't have any appropriate parking.
Which
But see,
really
we
saddens us.
We would not have known that until we've gone out on the sidewalk. So I feel as though this is carrying forth in the progression that any hearing would do. So we do our diligence. As a port of interest, we can advertise without a DEP number, and that's done
Okay.
often.
Well,
So this-
you have to.
This committee would not
You'll never get a
function.
DEP number.
I'm gonna show you something that I have from my town.
Well, your town can function how it
No,
chooses,
but I
we
mean,
choose
no,
to
Amy's
function
been great, and
efficiently.
this is the hardest job in the world. It is. Amy, it's the hardest job in the world. I appreciate it.
But no, you do bring up some great points. We will continue this. Well, I don't know if we're going to have any feedback for February 26th. So it seems as though the selectmen will need to have discussion for curb cuts.
Chuck, is that something you would be able to pursue, or?
As far as the curb cut with Mass DEP?
You just
Actually,
need-
I have a meeting this week with Mass DEP for an issue with the driveway at the high school. I can certainly, it's the same commissioner, so I can certainly raise the issue. I can guarantee you I won't get any answers.
No, yeah, you know, so, but if.
No, but I mean, I guess we need your board's support in order to move forward. And I think that's the big dilemma. As far as I am concerned, I don't know about the rest of the board members. If we don't have parking there, it's kind of a mute situation, because it is a
Right.
dangerous
But
place.
I don't think Chuck can give the
No, I think-
blessing
I
without
think in
us
the
getting
No,
in front
meaning
of
is
this
he willing
BOS.
to, we
Yes,
need
I
to
in
get
the
on the
interest of doing
agenda.
things openly, just send something
Yeah.
to us so that I can put it on the agenda and we can have a conversation.
So we meet again on
Full board.
February 26th. I would hazard to say that we would move this discussion to the following meeting, which would be March
Well, yeah, 'cause
6th.
your next meeting is the 13th, right? And is that,
It's next month.
22nd.
yeah, do you know, is that closed, that agenda closed?
No, closes Thursday.
No, Thursday, so,
So let's go ahead and let's put it on for the 26th, but with the understanding more than likely it'll be heard on the 5th. So that way we're continuing to, we would continue to February 26th with the understanding, if we don't have some feedback, we would then carry on to the 5th.
so try to get on the
So-
Board of
Yeah.
Selectmen agenda for the
Exactly.
13th.
Yeah.
I would also mention that we're aware that the price has gone out through Littleton Lumber, and we worked with the grant committee and put in all the estimate along with a contingency this time.
Yeah.
So that's all been approved, the increase. Well, the paving work is still staying the same, but.
Okay, great. Thank you for coming in.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Bye.
Sorry, I had the chauffeur.
You want to go back to, Rick, where we've got you here for SVT and some of the other things that were on for discussions?
Let's pick one or two and not get carried away.
Well, the SVT National
Okay.
Trail Day was my thing, because they will be coming in for a land use permit eventually. They just want to make sure that if someone knows on their website that it's already advertised, they said, because they had a print deadline.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that they're assuming that they're getting it, they'll take it off if they don't get the land use permit, so that was me,
I saw that, yeah.
Okay.
yeah. Anyone have anything?
Okay, so which ones do we want to talk about first?
Talking about-
Invasive?
You want to talk about invasives?
Yeah, let's do invasives.
Andrew and I have been working on invasives for years. I mean, I've literally been doing it for 25 probably, but, and Carl's been a member of the Swasco SISMA with the Conservation Trust. He representing you. So we've been dealing with these all along. The master plan has quite a bit of space devoted to trying to manage invasives in a real way. Andrew and I are not doing it in a real way. And we were.
I am, but
Well, what's happened, unfortunately, this was a hard year. I mean, there are people dying, when we were supposed to be out doing our second inspection for Mile a Minute, which we're working with the state on. We've been working with them for 10 years or something. And we've got, we do. We do have it.
Dude, yeah, Bonsai West.
Yep, and when I went back for my second thing, it was into the fall, and unfortunately, I found 2 or 3 plants that had gone to seed. And I'm also dealing with,
Thanks to your birds, and they spread it all.
Oh, come on.
I'm hoping it all fell down, and we'll just pick them in the spring.
Hey,
But-
while we're talking about invasives, and I don't recall whether it's Lincoln or if it's Sudbury or which town it is, that they have a spot at their transfer station which is dedicated for invasives. What town is it that has? It's one of the towns, and,
Was-
and I'm curious if we've approached any of the decision makers in the town, if that's something that's even feasible, because I feel like unless we can collectively have a movement from townspeople, and I think it is Lincoln, because I think they give you the bags that you can actually put it in, and then they all go to one specific dedicated area to be properly, I believe it's
Burned.
incinerated, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
They-
but I
they
didn't
treat them
know
in a
if that's
couple-
something that's,
No, that's, part of having a formal committee to do this will enable us to conduct a garlic mustard pull, which is what
yeah,
that
that's
was.
what that is, yep.
And
Okay.
for that, we need.
We could do bittersweet, I mean, we could do.
Oh, yeah, this is my idea, is that that would be one component of it.
Yeah.
But the management would enable us to deal with all of the, I mean, we have every invasive in town that's out there that we're concerned about.
Right.
And this would enable us to possibly map it and stay on top of it. But it's going to have to be much more formal as a committee.
Right.
And we're haying fields.
Letting them go to seed doesn't help any.
Exactly, and then we're either feeding them to animals and poisoning the animals, or we're putting them next to our wetlands and spreading them. So it's really important.
Spreading them.
It's really important that we stay on top of this and have calendars, maps, and know people are going out there and doing it. So.
But you wanted to get support for setting up a committee?
And I'd love it. I have a feeling that the best place for this committee is on the Conservation Commission, and that would be the thing. Now,
Nominate Rachel. Second, come on.
Any seconds? So I did write a letter to the selectmen explaining the need for this, and I had two kickoffs. One was the garlic mustard pull, and the other was the cleanup of the parcel over at the orchard that's on Nagog Pond. For some reason, it's just growing. It's impenetrable now, and I do.
Basically, I've viewed it over in Harvard. There's some conservation land over in Harvard.
Mhm.
And they came in and sprayed the hell out of it. And it looked like a desert the next year. But they finally did get a handle on it. It was up in the trees and
Oh, yeah.
You
all
can't do
over.
that at Nagog, but.
No, Nagog's going to be different. Definitely, it's going to be different.
Was the way to, but they allotted money to do it.
Mhm. I'm not even sure whether we have whether the commission has a CR on those two parcels down at the end, or whether they are part of conservation land.
Which parcel are you talking about? Nagog?
The ones across from the Morrison house.
There's not a CR, it's owned by,
The town has it, but I don't know.
I don't think there's a CR on it. But anyway.
The thing
Yeah,
with-
is
I
it?
thought a slice of that parcel was given to the Conservation Commission.
That's what I was wondering, whether we own that.
What I have found at a recent
Conservation.
meeting that I was at, a lot of the CRs or any of that kind of stuff never got recorded. The town
That
dragged
one
its
did
feet,
because we
never got
we
it
got
done.
grants for that, so that was definitely recorded on that one.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet on it.
For which one?
I'd hope so, but I wouldn't bet on it.
That particular parcel was not involved.
There's no CR over there that I found recorded.
Oh.
That's,
But it'd be nice if the commission does own that. I think it's a 12-acre parcel.
But that just happened last year,
Oh,
right? That was the transfer.
they were just taking it out of the lease, I think.
They're taking it out of the lease, but they carved out, was it 10 acres or something?
7, yeah.
Down there, 7, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'd love to get cleaned up. So it'll take the selectmen to help us work with the Concord Water Department. And
But who does Sustainability Committee work under, or is that just a separate?
it's its own committee.
And open space is its own separate, but that's really the open space implementation plan, it's not an open space committee.
I don't know, it kind of, sometimes it functions like an open space committee and sometimes it's just focused on the plan.
Yeah.
But I think if we did set up a committee, I think it'd be good as like a subcommittee, well, not a subcommittee, but maybe a standing committee under the ConsCom, if that makes any sense. I don't know if we can do that, but.
it's gotta be an official appointed one through the selectmen
Through the
and
selectmen.
town clerk, because for the ag one, we had to go down and get
Yeah.
signed in
Anyways.
for it.
But are you on the agenda for Monday with the Board of Selectmen? Did you get on that?
No, I'm not on the agenda as far as I know.
Take care. Get some sleep.
Good night.
You want to see if I can squeeze you on there now that, for the invasive species stuff,
For the selectmen?
for Monday night, since you're going to be in there for Cloverdale, I guess?
I may or may not be there. I may not be there for Cloverdale. I'll get them the information tomorrow so it can be brought up.
But that's a hot button issue with DOT and pushing that all through. It could take a couple of years to get the clearance to do that. I know didn't they get permission to take down some of the
Yeah,
fencing?
we've been working with DOT all along on it, so it's, And
If it takes a couple of years, that would risk your grant, wouldn't it? Isn't it?
Well, you can still build the boardwalk
Yeah.
if this is part of the phasing master plan.
Oh, I thought it was,
For the whole-
the boardwalk was contingent on the
No.
access.
Well, as long as you can get it
The grant
all
is not.
tied together, so you know it's good chance it's gonna happen, that's the main thing.
yeah, we have had the head of the highway department over there looking at the curb cut there, but I can't remember just
Not
what it was.
DOT, it was.
It wasn't DOT, no.
Yeah,
just ours.
it was Chris, yeah,
Chris,
so.
and,
And you gotta get the selectmen behind it, and that's what I was pushing for a few minutes ago.
yeah. I can give Tara Mitchell a call also at DOT. She's in the sort of design part of it tomorrow and see if she can speed it up.
So do you need anything specific on this invasive species committee, or is this just?
No, if you're willing to take it on as a committee, as your committee, or do you think it's gonna have to go through as a town committee?
I think if it's gonna be town-wide, I think it should, and not involve conservation land or wetlands. I think you'd wanna
I
have
think it
a,
has to involve all properties, not
It's all
just-
properties. It's gonna be all
Yeah.
properties. As a matter of fact, there
Should be
may be
town.
That's true.
two of the, Sean and Jamie or whatever, on the highway department have licenses, and they're working themselves, so that would all get mapped.
have they actually got it, or were last I heard, they were talking about getting them.
Well, they've got their licenses
To
Yeah.
spray or to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
to control it. They're,
Jim DeVogel's across the street. He-
mhm.
Yep.
Yep, so they're working primarily on Japanese knotweed, but
I heard knotweed, you have to just cut and paint the
Yeah.
stem for it to really.
yeah, that's a very good, that's a very
That's
good.
time
So
consuming.
here's what I learned about knotweed. So it evolved in Japan amongst volcanoes. And so it is able to, like even when people put hot asphalt on it, it doesn't kill it. It'll grow back up through because it evolved to come up through lava in Japan. But it actually is a real issue because you have builders in the highway department moving around and you have structures built on it, and it will come up through a concrete foundation or, you know, into a slab or through pavement. Like it's an issue.
So
It's a, yeah.
the Cooper farm is unfortunately full of it, and I don't know how there's any way of controlling it. Probably not.
You have to cut it for 10 years, I've heard, before it dies off.
No, I
Because
think
the
you can.
The tubers hold so much energy.
Oh, no, if you're just mowing it, yeah, it may take longer than that. May be impossible. That's why I think that's a case for herbicide application, and the cut and paint works quite well.
Yeah.
So, I'm sort of not sure.
So if it's a town committee, what next then? Selectmen?
I'll have to go, yeah, I have a letter to them to go in front of them to propose it, but I had mentioned in the letter, formal or otherwise, but in terms of the committee itself, but it definitely has to evolve to more members than Andrew and myself, and somebody who's good at technology and mapping and spreadsheets and.
I might be willing to be on the committee or help out with it.
Really?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah. My duties on Lake Association might be decreasing as of February, so.
That'd be great, Anna. Love it.
Are you not going to be president anymore?
I'm stepping down.
Stepping down as president. Uh-oh. No.
So, I mean, I guess, do we need to throw our support behind the need for this committee? I mean, is that?
That would
we're
be the
looking
thing.
for?
And,
I think it's needed. I think
Very
we
much.
see it quite a bit. I think more and more we are engaging with, property owners and developers to, manage their invasives.
Yeah.
When they're redeveloping, and it's, something that we see. And, so, I mean, I would support it.
And we want to catch it quickly.
Yeah, well, that's
Say
the,
mapping
And
is really
educate.
yeah, the mapping is really important, and then you have to decide, the first things you go after are the smallest populations, because then you can stop them and then work towards your big ones. But there's a whole, the
I would-
SISMA, the SISMA
I
has,
would propose that somebody make a motion that we support the idea of a town-wide committee to be
Address.
be on the invasive species.
and Anna will be,
Second.
Anna will be president.
So moved.
Right.
And I mean, the proposal should go to the selectmen and see if they'll back it.
Yeah.
So, do I have a motion on the floor, but seconded, can I have a vote on that?
I'm sorry, you seconded?
I did.
Carl.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
And you guys had some other stuff?
Well, we can make it real quick.
Just,
I doubt it. It hasn't been going that way tonight.
Does everyone have a copy of this?
Jeff, you had to bring me back with
They had
you.
a
I don't-
couple 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I didn't bring mine. I did read it, though.
Well, basically, we just want to cut some trails that aren't there now. The Williams land, there's an access given by Joyce Williams, 12-foot access to get from Boxborough Road into the Williams property. So I'm the head of the trail crew, so I would just call the troops out and clear all the deadfall out of there.
Did you just hear that we weren't supposed to use volunteer labor?
I missed it. I wasn't here.
oh, you missed it. Oh, you
So
missed
does that,
it.
does that
Fill
mean
No
in later.
volunteers.
tear
Liability.
down the castle of the trees then?
No, that's what anyway.
So we'd just like your blessing for that. And I've also been exploring the town forest. And it's great in there. I GPSed a potential trail all around the perimeter of the driest portions. And it's about 1.6 miles long. It'll get us in and out and up towards the back edge of the property where the Kay and Durkee.
Yeah, but I think you gotta go over Mish property.
No, we won't go that far. It'll be just in the town forest is this trail I'm talking about. Eventually, there's a possibility that we might be able to get through the Durkee property out to the train station, but that's
Yeah.
another story.
That was discussed at the last planning meeting. I gave them a sketch of where I wanted to go between two houses to get to their road system, which would take people directly to the station.
So the trail is the red.
Yeah, I got some more maps here. I'll pass them on.
And I'm working with the Brown property, Mary Brown's property, which is between the forest and Tehadawin, and they're going to be developing that. But one of the three boys is willing to work on a bike trail going through that. And then eventually, I'm hoping that we'll be able to get over to Prouty and then through to Long
I
Lake.
heard Michael Kimball was buying that Brown property.
I don't know.
Michael Kimball is free to do what he wants now, because he is no longer a partner in down
He's
here.
got plenty of dough.
Yes.
I've been supposedly going to meet with the developer, the builder for that lot, who is the one that's building the house on Tehadawin, the huge monster, who also worked at on Wildflower.
Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. I'm impressed.
Anyway,
So,
I haven't met.
the town forest, isn't it selectmen controlled? So would we have to go for the selectmen to?
Is it Selectman?
Yeah.
Yeah, then we would have to do that.
Yeah, but that
Um,
used to be the bus driver there was doing that. He worked for Dunn. It was his thing. I can't think, I think he's passed away now. But that was his baby, was the town forest. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. But he was a bus driver for Dunn. He
Well-
lived down in Snow Village.
Hmm.
Lived in Snow Village. Maybe it'll come to me.
I'm sorry. So you were saying, I'm sorry, did you say that this path is already there as kind of a logging road, or?
No,
it's not.
that's a bushwhack path.
It's a
Yeah,
bushwhack
totally.
path.
So don't go
I
too far.
I bushwhacked, and I did put some flags up to remind myself where I was. But basically, you come in out in Harwood, where the the wet area is. Just to the right of it, there's a stone wall between the town forest property and that next house to the right. And if you follow that, and it's fairly dry, and then it opens up into a knoll in the back, and there are some wet areas, some drainage areas with rocks that you have to cross, but
So this is
they're
the main
not that bad.
access, not over here.
No, this
There's a
would
little,
be,
pull out there.
that would be the access.
Where's the Pittarino property? Is it over
Pittarino's
here?
is Durizio now.
Oh, okay, because he said he might be willing.
Both he and his wife have volunteered to be stewards there.
Oh, there you go.
And they're very interested in
Yeah.
helping out on the property.
So the Browns, there is a parcel of Mary Brown's property in the middle there.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
But the Browns are
How can
going
they
to
do all
donate,
that?
they're going to donate that to the town.
It's all wet.
Well, there's no access to you.
No.
No.
More than the point.
Nope, that'll be
Sorry.
coming to the town. What else?
Ricky, Steve, and I think the other older boy. Steve is my age. Other Brown boys.
Rick is the one I've been talking to. He's out on the,
Yeah,
in
there's
Portland, Oregon.
Rick, Steve, I can't think of the older boy right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But on the Williams property, we need to get the conservation restriction moving. Or I guess the board of select, I don't know who's going to do that, but.
Yeah.
Remember that.
So we also will be in the DOT property for a parking area, and that needs to be cleaned out.
Who's going to fund it?
No, I don't, at the moment, nobody. I think it's going to be Jim and myself and our chainsaws.
We'll be out there.
If we're lucky, we'll get out.
Because
I can't remember, did I send this to you guys? With the agenda and all that stuff? Okay, so this is just a regulatory review of vernal pools. So this is cut and dry, applicable to any vernal pool. This is not project specific. And I don't think we can talk project specific because it wasn't on the agenda. So this is kind of is what it is. And Anna met with Judy Schmidt, the circuit rider down at DEP. I don't know if you wanted to give a quick, in addition to this stuff.
Yeah, sure. Well, she just said that, that if it's a certified vernal pool, then it becomes under the core jurisdiction. And they have a different definition for like, the high water mark. So they'd have to look at that distinction. Also, the buffer becomes 100, rather than 50 for a septic tank or septic, system.
From the habitat? or
From,
pool
from the
itself?
pool, it's from the habitat, which is part of the resource area of the
Okay.
pool, yeah.
So
Up
so
to
when you
the-
say pool, it's pool and habitat is the resource area?
Yeah,
Okay.
Pool and habitat.
Vernal pool is not the term you should be using. It's vernal pool habitat.
ILS.
That is what is regulated. It's
Habitat.
vernal pool habitat under the regulations. And they keep saying vernal pool, and they mean the vernal pool depression.
Right.
They don't mean the vernal pool habitat. And the vernal pool habitat is what's regulated. So it includes the depression plus the 100 feet as long as it's still in with the rest of the crap. So
Within
it's,
yeah. It has to be within the resource area, because so it could be less than 100 if the resource area doesn't extend.
Yeah.
200 or more. Oh, and she also mentioned that Mass Audubon has guidelines for amphibian tunnels, and that whenever you design something for a vernal pool, it would be recommended that that it meet those guidelines, and that they need a lot of light. If it's very long, maybe you should have a grate over the top to let light through over the top. So something to look at too. And also, she said that mitigation, if you mitigate, you have to look at the upland, because if it's a mature upland area for salamanders, it's pretty valuable to them, and so you have to be careful with your mitigation. Choose the scrappiest, non-valuable portion to do your mitigation, and expand the wet part of the salamander habitat. Try not to ruin their upland habitat when you do mitigation.
And that played in potentially to requiring 3-to-1 mitigation, because that means even more disturbance of upland habitat.
Right.
So it's you're coming and going.
Right, right.
So it sounds like that wouldn't be a like decision with a map on a table, that would be
And
like.
field, she said to go out and, actually look at what you're replacing and see if it's too valuable, you might wanna shift it somewhere else, or not do a 3-to-1, maybe do a 1-to-1. And she said that commissions can do their own certifications, so we can take our own pictures and do our, which may be quicker than the natural, NHESP.
But you still have to go through the natural heritage.
You still have, you submit it to
They're
them, but
submitted
Right,
you'd
yeah, so
be
it's-
able to do your own,
Yeah.
your information gathering.
But is that where you'd hire somebody like Cos?
Or
Like what?
we
You'd hire,
anybody could go
could
out.
hire a
Land- yeah,
consultant to do
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Or you could just do it yourself.
Could do ourselves.
And what did you say about requiring it to be certified before order conditions?
She said that it's unreasonable often to to require, someone to certify before the order of conditions, because often natural heritage takes a long time, very long time to certify something.
Well, where's the Corps of Engineers come into this? You just mentioned them.
After it's certified, if it's pretty sure that something's gonna be certified, you should proceed as if it is, because it's very likely that the Corps of Engineers would get involved if it's going to be certified, and then you'd have to follow all the things
Or jurisdiction.
requirements they have, so.
After the
which-
fact.
Yeah, after the fact, which may, we have to remove something, or, so.
But with where am I? Oh, with the certification, she said that it's not unusual for the commission to require at least submittal of the certification documentation.
That's right, submittal, require submittal
Proof of
and
submittal,
proof
yeah.
of submittal. And we have to take, if we wanna substantiate it ourselves, we should take photos before, the hearing is closed. And then require them to mail their evidence of certification, at the time of the hearing being closed, at the time of
Well,
issuance of permit.
who's gonna mail it? The Conservation
No,
Commission?
the applicant. Or us, if we wanna certify it ourselves, I guess we could take that on, but preferably the applicant. And she also said adverse effect can be overcome by mitigation, so if they say, yes, they're gonna mitigate and they have a plan for that, it can cancel out the adverse effect. And that's about, caddisfly or larvae casings also are a good indication of vernal pool. And those can be found any time of year, except if snow cover, obviously, but you can see them any time.
Yeah, there are indications you can do year-round.
Indications.
Caddisflies, fingernail clamps. It's not great, but you can.
And that's about it.
Okay.
No, sorry, one more thing. We don't have to notify the Corps, but we can. It's an option for us to notify the Corps ourselves.
I'm gonna call the Corps tomorrow.
I'm married to the Corps.
I've been through.
No.
Oh, well, there you go.
He
It's
does,
been a
he
while.
does flooding and navigation, not.
It's been a while
not-
since I talked to the Corps about vernal pools, so.
I could figure out who in Concord.
Yeah, I know a couple people, at least I think I know some people over there. I don't know
Okay.
if they've all left, but.
I mean, I could probably, I'm sure he could figure out who, if he needs
Yeah,
to
let me-
figure out
yeah.
who.
Yeah.
In other words, you could seek an opinion
And
from the
regulatory.
Corps.
Yeah, just a general.
Do it all the time, blind calls.
Yeah. I know this guy.
Yeah, it's a hypothetical situation.
A friend of.
All right.
Can I get a motion to adjourn? Unless
So,
it's-
should we put the bylaw regulatory stuff up front next time, or just make sure that
It's included
there's
in your...
effort left at the end of it?
First item on the agenda
'Cause
next
it's-
time.
I know, it's hard to put it up.
I think
As long
we've
as
stuck
the-
it first before
If the
too.
Cooper farm is here or Durkee's here, we'll never get to it.
Turkey shouldn't be here.
If it's a pretty short agenda, like we had tonight, I think we should have it up
We
front.
had a short agenda, it's 10:05.
I know.
That's true. You never know.
You haven't,
It's an
you
hour and
haven't
a
run
half
the
of hearing.
shot this long.
Yeah, I do have two quick comments on the bylaw de minimis, trying to think about unintended consequences, like
Yeah.
500 square feet, and then you get like a 2-foot by 250-foot, stone wall, or, so I was just trying to think about things like that. I'm not prepared to finalize anything by any stretch.
Yeah, numbers
and-
like that are really tough. I think 500 is probably too big, but.
But unintended consequences, I just want to, so I've started thinking that through, and my point would have been, I'm not ready to, finalize anything like that without a discussion.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. We haven't even discussed it.
No, I know.
So it's.
No, I know we haven't. And then.
Yeah, which is why it's good having a bunch of brains look at it, because you're all gonna see different things.
And the other
Yeah,
thought is
thought of.
like the invasive species, other towns have invasive species in their.
It's,
compound
invasive
bylaw.
species is waived.
It's waived.
Yeah, is an allowed thing in the 50-foot no disturb.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?